Live from the 607, it's the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, where we're talking everything movies, TV, comics, and entertainment. Join in the conversation on social media with the hashtag ODPH, because here we go. Welcome back for an all-new edition of the ODPH podcast, better known as the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. What is going on, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in this week. My name is Ken M. Joining me in studio, as always, you know him. He is the co-host. His name is Padawan J.
Hello, hello, hello.
And also joining us in studio, he is the senior sports editor of the ODPH. And if we are ever talking Superman, you know he is in attendance as well.
He's a mild fan.
Just to say the least. He is your coach. He is my coach. He is the coach. Coach Duffy.
Yeah, I'm already in love with this show. I mean, I know we're going to get into it in the second segment, but I cannot help but hide my infatuation with this show. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, we're going to deep dive into that and so much more, so we definitely want you to join in the conversation on social media. You can find all our accounts. You can find the TeePublic store. You can find links to everywhere this podcast is being offered at, because we know there's been some technical difficulties, and we're just hoping that everything gets resolved very shortly. So wherever you're listening to the show, you can definitely find it at OchoDuroParlayHour.com. And always remember to use the hashtag ODPH, or even throw an ODPH pod. We're going to try that one out too as well. But let us waste no more time. Let's go right into the topics. And kicking off this edition of the podcast, you know we are talking Wandavision.
Yeah.
The biggest show on the planet.
Uh-huh.
This is
literally
facts. This is facts.
I mean, at least biggest hex on the East Coast for sure.
I see what you did there. Well played, sir. Yes, WandaVision is setting all types of records for the most watched show of 2021, and
soon to have the most played song on Spotify too.
Yeah.
So that's a kudos to Marvel / Disney for coming out with like the song of 2021 in February.
Yeah.
I've been waiting all weekend for that song to drop on Apple Music, and as soon as I did, I downloaded it and put it on repeat for like an hour.
This show has just taken over. And I think when it first was announced that Wanda Maximoff, played by Elizabeth Olsen, and Paul Bettany were going to be playing the Vision, were going to be reprising their roles from the Avengers franchise, I don't think anybody thought the show would be as big as it is.
My expectations were tempered just because I didn't know what we were going to get from a Marvel show.
Right.
But when what got me hyped and like really had me buy into it was like when Feige, did the presser and was like, this show is setting up our entire next phase of films. I was like, this has got a lot of weight on it. This has got to hit. Because if it doesn't hit, then Marvel's going to take... I mean, they were taking a huge risk.
Oh, yeah.
Having this be the next setup for all their films. Like, if this doesn't land, what happens to Marvel, And I mean...
Yeah, it's essentially Iron Man 1 2.0.
Right.
Yeah.
Where Iron Man 1 was the jumping off point for the entire MCU. Obviously Avengers Endgame and Far From Home to a certain degree is kind of the bookend. Now you look at it where, because of the pandemic and everything going on and things have been delayed, this wasn't originally going to be the initial jumping off point for the entire next phase and the entire next chapter, I guess you could say, of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But that's the way it worked out. So like Coach said, there was a lot of pressure on this, and I expected it to do great at the outset. I mean, we look at The Mandalorian and the numbers that they were talking about when that first came out, but then the numbers kind of dipped down a little bit. And you see that with a lot of TV shows.
Oh, sure.
Monster debut, monster numbers, and then it kind of tempers down and it goes down with it. No, it's still going strong. Like, I woke up Friday morning when the episode dropped, and I saw Disney Plus down trending on Twitter, and I went, what? Like, there were so many people trying to log on to Disney Plus at midnight, Pacific time, so wherever it was in your neck of the woods. We're now 7 episodes into this thing, and it's still drawing huge traffic.
It's still drawing huge traffic. The word of mouth of this show has definitely been loud.
And it's helped the show a lot, too.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you're any remote, even just not like a hardcore fan, but you're somebody who's gone to see all the Avenger movies, and you've gone to see all the independent, Avenger films, all the solo projects, and you're not watching the show, you are literally going to go into the next set of movies and be like, what is all this coming from? You know what I mean? Like, you're going to go into Spider-Man and you're going to be like, what the hell? You're going to go into Doctor Strange and be even more confused.
Well, not necessarily, because as we record today, there have been some TCA, upfronts for the television industry. And now, obviously, since Disney Plus is technically a television thing, Kevin Feige was at Disney's upfront, and they did bring that up. So he and Sam Raimi have had conversations about how to play the whole WandaVision aspect in that movie series for people who haven't seen it. So normally I'd be worried about it, but hearing that, it's like, okay, Marvel's thinking ahead with this, and all these series are like, okay, we're pre-planning. There are going to be some people who have, for whatever reason, haven't seen the show.
Marvel's playing next level chess while everybody else is playing checkers.
I guess so. I mean, yeah, I didn't hear that. I mean, but even still, though, like having this, I feel like watching this going into Doctor Strange, like I'm going to get why Wanda is the way that she is.
Yeah.
Way more than, somebody else who didn't watch it,
Yeah,
they fully explain it too, and the story of Wanda Maximoff has really gone leaps and bounds from where we last saw her in Avengers Endgame. We are going to deep dive into the latest episode, so we give you fair warning if you're not caught up on the saga of Wanda and Vision. You have been given fair warning now, because we are going to start talking spoilers about Episode 7, Breaking the Fourth Wall, in 3, 2, 1.
It was fucking Agatha the whole time? I'm just kidding. I mean, come on.
Break it down for us, Coach.
Well, I mean, obviously, we'll work our way backwards. I just had to start with that to be funny. So, I mean, the episode was set in more of a Modern Family office space, or not office space, but the office film room, which was fun because Aaron was the one who pointed out, she's like, that's the Office theme. She's like, it's not the Office theme, but it's like close. And then
parody.
And then I hear it, I'm like, oh my God, it is, And then, obviously, it was real. Fourth Wall is the perfect way to describe it, because it really was very meta. You know, like just the whole time with the camera and the setup and all that, and then having the cameraman say something was very very Office related to the episode where they finally showed the camera people behind that quote unquote documentary. But this episode was great.
So even the whole cameraman talking, it felt a little. I know this was kind of like Coach said, based off of Modern Family or The Office, but it also felt a little like reality TV, which became so popular and prevalent in American television and television all over the world in the 2000s. Because turn on any reality TV series nowadays, there will be multiple shots and scenes where something is happening on screen, and you just hear, you'll see the subtitles come up on the screen. Producer, cameraman, whatever, that they're talking to people. But no, this episode was fantastic. I know people were a little down on it, but it's set up. The last 2 episodes are coming. The finale of this show is coming. We've got all the pieces in place on the board. Now we got to get them in place and get them ready to go.
Well, we don't have all the pieces yet.
Not all the pieces just yet, but for this episode, it was a lot of filler in certain degrees, but they nailed their points where they needed to.
They needed to.
And that's one thing about this show that I don't think it gets enough credit for. That it's doing the slow burn pacing.
Yeah. Oh, man, this is real slow burn.
Right. But it's really setting up the story, so when we are getting these payoffs, you're getting the reaction Coach gave when we started talking spoilers.
Yeah.
It's that reaction that Marvel and Disney are wanting, and they're getting because of how they're just taking their time getting here.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's just a good example. I mean, and one of the finer things that they're doing is somebody pointed out in one of the videos that I was watching, because as soon as the episodes end, I literally deep dive into all the theory videos, because I'm just like, I have to know more. And somebody pointed out that each of the opening scenes has been, previously on WandaVision. And Wanda's been in the beginning was very energetic, right? Mm-hmm. But as the episodes have gone on, it's previously on WandaVision. And she's starting to taper off a little bit. So she's slowly, and that's just one of the smaller things that if you're not paying attention, you're missing a bigger detail overall of the show.
Right. I mean, that's another thing, too, with the intro to the show, that they were doing the quick montage and you're seeing Wanda's name all over.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I know one popular online theory was that is somebody trying to reach and call for help to her. That we might see who that is because the name was repeated so many times.
Right.
So it's just those little nuances that they throw in this show that I think just are really nailing it home and really getting the different vibe from the MCU that me personally, I've been craving.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I don't like it when everything just feels the same. And for where this show was originally announced, it's supposed to be the second show in the lineup coming out.
Second show in the lineup, also the third release from Marvel with Black Widow already coming out.
Right. they have a lot of pressure, but they've been delivering, and we're just how good this show has been for the quality is really setting the bar high, because where we jump in this episode, it is set in the late 2000s era of TV.
Yep.
Like we touched upon, The Office, Modern Family, and Wanda is now kind of having a me moment.
Right.
That you're really seeing the toll being taken on her.
Yeah.
But she's presenting it as Modern Family.
Yeah, because the vibe I got off of this is, whereas with prior episodes it was like maybe a week or so, a couple days, this feels like it's in rapid succession, that it's just boom, 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 boom. There's no, oh, hey, a week of time has passed, a couple of weeks has passed. No, it's like, the last episode was at night. This is like the next day.
Right, like she woke up in her Halloween garb still.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's still post the, expansion of the Hex, and, obviously the Sword is backed off. They're now 8 miles away,
and
just in case.
Yeah, and everyone's been there. You got busy points in your life. It feels like a ton of noise, and you just sit in your car, radio off, and you go, oh my God, I need silence. Yeah. So that's where she's at.
Right, and it's a very relatable scene where you see Wanda is now trusting Agnes to babysit the twins.
Well, the twins come upstairs and they, like, mom, dad, and
Mom,
yeah,
mama.
and she's just like, listen, boys, like, I'll help you. Our video game system, and the video game starts splashing back and forth.
Oh my God, yeah.
Through the generations, and then
that
finally,
was great.
She walks downstairs, and you can just tell the stress that's on her. And then one of the boys mentions how dad hasn't been home, and she mentions something of, like, well, if your dad doesn't want to be here, I can't force him to be.
Yeah.
Which was a pretty telling point, because this whole thing has been forced by Wanda. And now all of a sudden, because Vision's, I guess you could say, woke. Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, literally. It's almost like she knows that she can't control him. And it's just one more thing that's slipping through the fingers.
Yeah, because you can see as she's going through the house, she's unable to stop everything from changing. Like, she'll look at the milk carton, and it'll change into a milk bottle.
Yeah.
Right.
That she's just really showing the stress of the power she's using.
The stork came wandering through at one point.
Yeah, it's just all these different factors are going on that you're telling... The viewer is catching on that she's losing control.
Right. And on the surface, when you're first watching this, it appears like it's just, this is just a strain. She's been using her powers for so long. She's controlling everything here. She can only do it for so long. She's finally reaching her endpoint of being able to use her powers effectively, but maybe not.
Yeah, it's definitely a very interesting factor going on.
And then in comes Agatha to mention that she can help watch the boys.
Bold strategy, Cotton. See how it works out for him.
Which, prior to, she hasn't been allowed near the boys.
Right.
So now, suddenly...
Well, and it's been a subtle move by Vision. Every time she tries to get near him, it's always Vision being like, no.
Yeah.
So maybe, he was picking up a weird vibe while, obviously Wanda's so blinded by everything else that's going on that, she can't pick up on it. I mean, another reason why, maybe Agatha was so prudent on getting him outside of the bubble.
I would say maybe blinded, maybe also rose-colored glasses, because while Vision, at least for a couple episodes now, has been like, something ain't right here, she's been like, no, everything's great, I'm going to use my powers in front of everybody, don't worry, it's fine. Yeah, maybe it's a little bit of both.
The fact how Catherine Hahn has been able to play this and flick that switch on.
Oh my God.
And just the little facial expressions she's doing during all this.
Right.
Just absolutely brilliant work she's doing. I can't rave about her stuff enough. But as we flip now to Vision... and where he winds up in the circus.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, waking up in where the Sword base was, obviously engulfed by the Hex. Then all those characters got turned in, like we talked about, into the circus. And, then he sees
Darcy,
as the escape artist.
Yep.
Which, I mean, somebody else said that it would have been funny if she would have been dressed as the Two Broke Girls.
Oh, that would have been epic.
That would have been pretty funny,
Yeah.
if maybe she was a waitress. But, well, we got the escape artist. And then obviously Vision having the ability to wake people up, woke again, was able to snap Darcy out of it to try and help explain to him what is going on. Because again, he has no recollection of anything.
Right.
So it's been real blur for him.
And as as Kat Dennings is in the escape artist outfit, something comic book fans have been pointing out too, and I saw this as well, and I'm like,
I saw it too.
She is dressed in the Star-Lord outfit.
Oh, yeah, I saw
from
people
the
mention
Guardians
that.
of the Galaxy Abnett and Landing Run.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. I think that's just a well-placed Easter egg. I don't think that's tying in.
I don't think it's tying into anything. I think it's just a something, and you see this in Star Wars, other stuff. It's not. It doesn't mean anything. It's just something there for the fans.
Yeah, you saw it in Lois and Clark. Or Superman and Lois. Like, it's just a nice little nod to people that if they pay attention, like, ooh, you know?
Yeah, like, what could this mean? We don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't think you're going to see anything Guardians of the Galaxy related here
No.
just yet. Never say never because it's Marvel. But as Vision and Darcy make their escape and they start catching up about, okay, what is going on?
Right.
There is still one other factor that's going on at this point, too, and that's what's happening outside the Hex.
Sure.
And this is where Monica and Jimmy finally meet up with some help.
Who was it? Who was it, Ken?
It was an old army friend of hers.
Oh.
See,
Not a Dr. Doom?
not Dr. Doom,
Not a Reed Richards? Not anybody?
No,
Oh.
but
Well,
these are people that Monica is friends with. So she is basically having
she couldn't
some
be
inside
friends
help.
with Reed Richards?
Well, here's the one thing that I want to point out, too, because I know the internet was exploding about this. Oh, we didn't get the big reveal. We didn't get the big reveal.
Sure.
Where did you think that she got the vehicle to go into the Hex?
Right, and that's what that was the swerve that everybody was trying to put out. They were like, listen, like, this person was just bringing the vehicle to her. They didn't build it, so.
Yeah, exactly, because as Monica gets there and she touches base with her friends, she's now updating the situation. Okay, I need to get back into the Hex.
Yeah.
And they brought a specialized vehicle for her.
Well, because now they've realized what Sword's plan is with Vision.
Yeah.
And
Right.
they need to get to Monica. They need to get to, oh my God. Wanda, yeah. Wow. To try and figure out and get her to realize what they're trying to do with Vision. Because, I mean, there's twofold front here. You know, obviously the things that are going on with Wanda and then Sword's mission for Vision. So it's like Monica is essentially fighting a battle on two fronts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love it how Tiana Paris just, as playing Monica, is just coming at it like, I have no fear of what's going on. I'm going back in the Hex.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, well, you should really worry. And she's like, no, I need to go in and save the day. She is really showing her true heroics in this. And the portrayal in this is very excellent. And
Yeah.
as she goes in the vehicle, which the minute I saw this, I'm going to officially say this now, it's Reed Richards.
Could be.
That vehicle looked something straight out of the Jack Kirby era of Fantastic Four.
And the vehicle was made for like deep space, like the most harsh conditions that space can throw at it.
Right.
Yeah. That thing looks, like I said, straight up Kirby.
I mean, listen, the payoff of this would be Reed Richards. Like,
Yeah.
if we got that would, I mean, that, you want to talk about breaking the internet? Like, not only was it, you know, having the Pietro come back as, you know, the one from this X-Men universe, like, that was grounds enough. But, like, if you do that and you bring in Reed Richards, and it is John Krasinski, that's a wrap. I mean, and let's not forget, they did use The Office,
Yes.
you know, as a play-in. Like, I mean, literally, so maybe that was a tease. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, now theorizing that could be a thing. But that would shut the world down.
I agree with you. And I'm going to say this for record because I want to touch upon one thing very quickly because I don't even want to touch upon it in one-shots. This nonsense about they casted Jennifer Lawrence as Sue Storm already.
Right.
Look, that has no actual confirmation from the powers that be. It's
Sure.
a nice internet rumor.
Oh yeah, the last I heard was they were looking for writers
Yes.
to work on the script. They're not going to cast a movie before it's written.
Well,
Right.
I mean, the only casting would be Krasinski.
Well, yeah.
And that would, but that's because that's a slam dunk, no brainer. The thing just makes sense, you know?
And that's been so long rumored
Right.
that it's him that it would make sense. And especially if they just want to even say, like, on the phone, it's his voice.
Sure.
Which I don't doubt that happening during this series. Like, we might not see him, but we'll definitely hear
And
him.
I mean, the Jennifer Lawrence thing just doesn't make any sense.
Right.
I mean, like, if you're gonna do Sue Storm, it might as well just be John's real life wife of Emily Blunt, and that would just be because I mean, the chemistry that they have from the movies they've done previously is obviously dynamic, and the fact that they are a real life married couple, like, it would just work on screen, like, that just makes sense to me. Jennifer Lawrence, who already has a distaste for superhero films, begged to get off the X-Men set, you know, after the last movie, just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, in my opinion, I agree with you completely. I just think that is such an internet rumor, which I get. It's the internet.
Yeah,
Hey,
I mean,
sure,
it's fun.
stuff happens. But there's no validity to it because unless you hear from someone like Deadline or Variety
Or Kevin Feige.
or Feige himself,
Yeah.
take it with a little grain of salt.
Well, and especially you got to think the bulk of her career has been two tentpole franchises with Hunger Games and then X-Men. Something tells me she, for at least a little while, she's going to want to do something that's not a tentpole multi-film.
tie
deal.
up your career.
She went on to do like a one and done, move on.
Yeah, and I think that she's done the movie franchise before, in my opinion, with the X-Men. I know, obviously, we're talking difference because, obviously, with how much makeup's involved being Mystique to being Sue Storm. But I just feel that they're not going to announce the full casting of the Fantastic Four. They would announce Reed,
Right.
but they wouldn't announce everybody because I think that if they're going to cast anybody, it's been so long rumored that Straczynski would be the guy.
Yeah, that's a slam dunk. It's a no-brainer. Everybody's already expecting it. Just give the fans what they want type deal, you know?
Yeah, which I could definitely see Feige doing the saying, okay, we've cast our Reed and run with that.
Right.
But I don't think that they would announce any other character other than Reed first being the head of the team.
Right, and not to mention, I mean, Krasinski has a history of film writing, so, like, to announce him as Reed, you know, and have him attached to the project, like, maybe that would give him the ability to be, not maybe a writer, but some sort of producer on the film. You know, because, I mean, obviously, most of the Marvel guys that are up there in the upper echelon of acting have been, you know, producers on their films. So,
right.
I mean, that would almost give it a tie and make it work for me, you know what I mean? Like, or probably more work for John as far as being casted ahead of having writers.
Yeah, so like I said, I think that before anything else goes with the Fantastic Four, Reed will be announced first. And I think we'll just kind of have to wait and see. But Straczynski, I think, is the even money pick.
Yeah.
I would be very surprised if they went in a different direction. But for anything else, like I said, the Jennifer Lawrence thing, I know people were blowing up about on social media.
Calm down.
Yeah, I would say pump the brakes. It's a nice internet rumor, but until you hear it from one of those sites or Feige himself, I would calm down right now because we could always do fan casting and run with it too. And I understand that people are that excited about this show.
Hey, Jessica Alba hasn't said no yet.
Yes,
okay?
Exactly. Anything is possible in the MCU. But going back to the show, you see Monica is now riding that vehicle right into the Hex. And what happens from there, Pat?
She tries, but it throws her back out while simultaneously transforming the front of the vehicle to a pickup truck.
Yes. So there's a lot of energy transformation going on here. And we do see this is starting to have an effect on Monica because she is trying her damnedest to get back in.
Uh-huh.
And unfortunately, she can't pull that off. And when the truck comes flying back out, we see it's a half and half. But we also see that she now has different colored eyes.
Yep.
Which is a sign that she has now gotten her powers.
Sure.
Which I
Or at
marked
least
out.
they've, or at least they've activated it.
Yeah, at least they're like coming. Yeah,
Because they said after she came out, what, the second time? First, whatever time it was, they looked, and Darcy even said, listen, you know, the Hex has rewritten your molecule, your cells on a molecular level. And she showed the X-ray, or not the X-ray, the microscopic look. So I think they were there, like they got put there or they got awakened or whatever. It's just this was the, you know, click moment where, oh, hey, we're here.
Well, yeah, as then she opts to, you know, Jimmy and them were trying to get her away from the Hex. She sprints right in there. And that's when we really start to see the separation of character and, you know, a mini story, if you will, within the walls of the Hex, her going through it. And all the fate, you know, you hear Marvel again, you hear her mom again, you hear, you know, you see the different phases of her life, you know, like all these things come, and then pops out of the wall in the, you know, the landing of the superhero pose, and then looks up, you know, the light, her eyes are different, and then can see the remnants of the power sources of, you know, power lines and all that, the spectrum of light.
Yeah.
And then you just know, all right, she gets it, you know.
Yeah, she's fully ready to rock and roll, which, like I said, I marked out at this moment. The minute that I saw her starting to light up, I'm like, oh, she got her powers. Let's go. So going back to the story, though, and like I said, there's just a lot going on with this episode. Even though, like I say, it was filler, it still had a lot of moving parts going on. But once Monica does enter Westview again, she does catch up with Wanda.
Right. And Wanda is none too pleased.
No, I was not happy to see her.
No, she definitely wasn't happy to see her, and it definitely kind of threw a wrench in everything going on. Because now at this point, too, Agnes now catches Monica.
Well, Agnes was peeking
Yes.
through her window and noticing. I mean, well, let's not forget too. The boys still at Agatha's house. Agnes, I'm sorry, and they're eating the sand. You know, they're hanging out with the bunny, Senior Scratchy, and talking. And Tommy, you know, notices that he can't pick up any brain waves or whatever from or read her mind like he can everybody else, and calls that out and says the same thing about Senior Scratchy, which was a very interesting little tidbit because why can't he do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll find out very sooner than later if you know the history of the character. But as this is going on too, Wanda is looking for the boys and can't find them. And this is where things are going to get very, very interesting. Because Wanda starts looking around the house for the boys. And then and Monica has already been kind of kicked out and left on her own because Wanda is just refusing to hear anything from her. But as Wanda is going around, she does go into the basement and she finds herself... This was like my Stranger Things moment.
Sure.
Like, walks into a completely different world.
Uh-huh.
So what was your take on this as she goes into the basement?
Well, I mean, obviously, her saying, Agnes telling her to go to the basement obviously was, hey, a ploy. So I was expecting some sort of, I don't know, not dungeon, but some sort of room of terror, so to speak, that was going to lead to something. So when she walked in, she saw the demon, the demonic signs and everything. I was like, all right, here's our payoff. Like, this is our moment.
Yes.
I wasn't sure what to expect. I knew, okay, this is like a big moment. We've been building to this. Without knowing too much about, Agatha Harkness, I didn't know what the hell to expect. But, I was getting some, Sleeping Beauty, Maleficent type vibes off of her.
Sure.
Yeah, they played it very well, too. And you see a book that is in the background. Now, this book... A lot of people are speculating, Pad.
Yeah, there's a scene in the first Doctor Strange where there's a bunch of books that are locked up in the background. One of them is conspicuously absent and noticeably missing. So a lot of fans are thinking that the book that is shown in this basement is the missing book.
Right, which was a book that was created by... damn, I lost the character's name, but it was a demon character in the Marvel Universe who used that book for spells and witchcraft, which this book ties into a lot of the other things as far as it was the creation of werewolves and vampires in the Marvel Universe. So it's another way that they can play into the tie of Blade and then the other show that's coming out.
They can go a lot of Midnight Sun stuff.
Yeah, Midnight Sun stuff from there too. Yep.
They can definitely do a lot there. I think it's the Darkhold. Now, I know that was not confirmed that was the book that was missing, but
right.
we have seen the Darkhold appear on everything from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to... It's very well known as a very powerful magic book.
There was a deleted scene, too, I was reading from Captain America that actually references the Darkhold.
Yeah.
Because it's when the Red Skull was searching for the first Tesseract, and that book actually comes into his possession, and he kind of just puts it to the side. So
yes. So we got to wait to see what goes on with the book. But during this segue, too, we do find out that Agnes is who we all thought she was.
The whole time.
Yes. Agatha all along. Hashtag that up all day.
Yep.
And it's Agatha Harkness.
The song borrowing heavily from the Munsters theme song.
Yes, which, how cool was that?
Oh, that was so good.
Yeah, it was, that reveal, obviously, I think we, in the room, had an idea of who...
We've been saying that all along.
Agatha was going to be. So, the reveal, although it not as shock value as it was when they played the song and revealed how she was manipulating all of the things that were kind of starting to go awry and we're starting almost to have the cracks in the town. That was the most telling thing to me because, the scene where, just for an example, the Vision scene where she's in the car, I didn't know what the hell to make of that. I was still that threw me off the scent a little bit. I was like, this, I know she's Agnes. I know she's Agatha. There's no other way that this is not Agnes Harkness. This is what her character is going to be. It has to be. But then the car scene kind of had me questioning, well, maybe does she not know? Was she possessed? What is going to happen here? So to find out that she was playing with Vision the whole time was wow,
Yeah, no, to get the backstory and find out that, as the song says, it was her all along and just messing with everything was awesome. And since I've listened to the song multiple times, I've picked up on a few things, one of which being there, because again, with Marvel, nothing is ever just thrown in there. It's there deliberately. Wanda and everybody in this are so far up, creek without a paddle, because there's a line in the song about halfway through goes, "It's too late to fix anything now that everything has gone wrong, thanks to Agatha." So try as they might to fix everything and get everybody back, it might be too little too late.
It might be, and that's the one interesting point of her character. I mean, she's had a long history from everybody from the Fantastic Four to
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. She has definitely made the rounds throughout the MCU. She also has ties to Mephisto. She also has ties to every single magical character in the MCU. She's a long-standing witch that its history goes back to before World War II.
Yeah,
like
and John Wick would like to have a conversation with her because she killed Spartan.
I saw that, yeah.
And then we also find out that she is responsible for the Pietro that showed up at the front door.
Yep.
Which now, so that's my biggest thing. That I want that answer because obviously that is what how or why was that Pietro the one that was chosen? You know what I mean? Like, how did she even know about him? Did she pull him from the multiverse? Like, is it actually still Peter from the other ones, or what?
I think a hint to that, and I can let you explain it, was given in the commercial that aired during this episode.
The Nexus, yeah.
The Nexus antidepressants. And Ken, for those who don't know, what is the Nexus?
The Nexus is the anchor point for all of time and reality. So basically, it can be used a lot to segue into the multiverse if you really push certain buttons right.
Yeah.
You're going to tie into the time variance. What's the group from Loki?
Oh, Time Variance Authority.
Thank you. They have a little play with it too, and Wanda in the comics is an anchor point for that. So that is going to play a big factor. Now, how Agatha knows about this...
Something tells me the book tells her a lot about it.
Yeah, the book could also be a segue for somebody to manipulate her. Like the book could be that powerful that it could possess Agatha, which I think could be happening.
Could be.
It just depends on who it is. Now, do I think it's Dormammu? No. I would say...
This ain't in his wheelhouse.
No, this is not in his wheelhouse. I think if you're going to talk about possessing and doing anything like that, it reeks of Mephisto.
Yeah.
I mean, with the boys being in the show and that having that payoff, and obviously the story that does lead to, the boys being part of Mephisto, I would feel like that would make sense. I mean, obviously, it's not going to be a House of M situation because the mutants aren't around anyway. So, they can't do that. She can't wish for half the population to be dead when she finds out that everything was a dream and riddled with grief. But what you can see is that, Mephisto's obviously had his hands in things and is playing a factor in this somehow, some way.
Yeah, which, I mean, that fits to his character to the T. I mean, he does this for possessing souls, and who is going to feed and possess souls?
Yeah.
And her grief could always lead to, the Doctor Strange movie and her just being so enraged that this happened that's the heel turn, that leads to Doctor Strange.
Yeah, and I dug up on the Marvel Wikipedia page, Nexus beings, and it reads, quote, "One Nexus being alone supposedly exists on each of the parallel worlds of the multiverse and personify the character of their respective realms and serve as the focal point or anchor of that reality. Each being also acts as the node of mystic energy of their respective world. The physics of the dimensional universe also dictate that no two Nexus beings can exist on the same plane of reality and can only project onto other realms with an active Nexus being as an apparition." So, methinks that, okay, if we follow this, that Wanda is a Nexus being like she is in the comics. Something would tell me that this isn't just something that you can pull out of thin air at your own personal convenience, that it takes a lot of, gusto and whatever behind it. And with as much, now that we know Agnes is Agatha Harkness and she's a witch, with as much magic that is flying around in this, however big the hex is, something tells me that'd be enough to really kick it going.
It definitely could. I mean, this is just going to open up a bunch of different doors. I will say this, if I see Man-Thing show up in the show, I'm going to lose my shit. I will mark out like a madman like you won't believe. Like, this is not Boba Fett level.
Sure.
But I would just be shocked to see him. But then again, we have a MODOK series coming out on Hulu, so anything is possible.
It's true.
He had, you want to talk about weird characters that have, cult followings? Man-Thing. Definitely does. It is what it is. But with this whole open door reality, that could explain where they're tapering on to get other members of the MCU that are not under the Marvel banner yet.
Yeah.
It's an easy out for it.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it makes sense. So, they're going to have to explain how they got Pietro there. And when you talk about dipping in, souls into different bodies, which if you know anything about Young Avengers, this is kind of how this is going to play out with Wanda's kids. it's not to say that's out of the realm of thought they would do that with Quicksilver too.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think this just kind of answers the question of, all right, is this the actual X-Men Pietro? Is this just somebody dressed up as him or, made to look like him? Given the fact that we have the Nexus ad and what all that entails, this is him. He got pulled in here. For what reasons, we've yet to find out, but it's him.
Unless, of course, this is Agatha's son. And that's something...
Well, I mean, yeah, Senior Scratchy obviously could be a play for her son, which is Scratch. Something is
Nicholas
his name?
Scratch.
Nicholas Scratch. So that would be interesting. I mean, I feel like that would almost be the cop-out way to do it, but it wouldn't surprise me just because it is the obvious play that all of a sudden, this rabbit turns into... to the Peter that she wants to show. It's just, how would she know that that's what Peter looks like? Like, that's the part that I'm like, that's what I'm trying to boggle my head around, is that, like, all right, if she could have done it, then why didn't she just use Pietro? And why did she use that version of him? And how'd she know?
Well, I mean, there is one theory online, and it ties into a Fantastic Four villain, that it could be one Nicholas Scratch.
Yes, that's the same one.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're one in the same. I mean, Nicholas Scratch, he's a long-time villain, but, he hasn't been around recently in comics, to my knowledge.
Article I'm reading, he first burst onto the scene in August 1977 in Fantastic Four, issue number 185. Quote, as an incredibly powerful and cunning wizard, he frequently squared off against the likes of Marvel's first family, that being the Fantastic Four, as well as Doctor Strange, although he never quite reached the level of fame as his villainous counterparts.
Yeah, he's always been... I want to try to find like a good wrestling term for this.
Well, a mid-carder.
Yeah, he's a mid-carder at best. Like, he's never been the focal guy.
But that's the thing, though, with Marvel bad guys, is as great as their superheroes have been, not many of them have the Lex Luthor, like the who's who of Batman's rogue gallery or Superman. It's like a lot of them, the subpar guys, bad guys are like bad. They don't have much depth.
Well, and let's also remember, with the exception of, off the top of my head, Captain America, most of the Marvel films' first villains they face off in the movie aren't exactly a AAA, major league tier guys. Captain America 1 being the exception, because let's face it, it was Red Skull. That's his arch nemesis. Iron Man 1, Obadiah Stane. Not exactly, villain it is, but not exactly the main guy, not exactly the high tier guy. You look at...
No, I would agree with him on that. I know, maybe in the comics, but
in the comics, he was until he... Yeah.
Thor, it was a goddamn robot, essentially. Just by and large with the Marvel stuff, it's not exactly...
when I think of Iron Man, I think of the 10 fists or 10 rings.
Well, yeah,
that's
that's his number one guy. I'm just trying to say, in comparison with Rogues Galleries, Ironmonger, who was Obadiah Stane, was a big one back in his time until in the comics he killed himself.
Right. Well, and I'm going off... I've watched the Iron Man cartoon growing up a lot, and that was always... It was like Whirlwind and... The 10 rings. Well, every episode was around.
Well, Mandarin has always been his guy.
Plus.
Yeah, Mandarin has always been his guy.
Yeah.
That's his number one. And then the rest of his Rogues Gallery, let's be honest, has not exactly been so top shelf until post movie. Because now you have Obadiah's son Zeke sing, and you have other characters that are really getting some shine now.
Sure,
but his Rogues Gallery has always been kind of so. You could almost say the same thing with Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
And with Agatha Harkness, there was just so much that they had new creators. When Kirby was on the book, and just creating everybody left and right.
Right.
You definitely have a wide open playfield.
Oh, yeah.
So I think for somebody like Scratch, though, ever since, really hasn't done a lot.
And I think it would make sense if it is end up being Scratch, that it would make sense to have him being the villain in the first film, and this is kind of his introduction. Because let's face it, Doom is going to be their long-term play. He's going to be their Thanos. He ain't going to be a one-and-done, killed off at the end of the first movie, what have you. So he'll be there. He might get mentioned. You might even see him a couple of times. Who's to say? But it would make sense to have somebody, kind of a lesser tier to start off with.
Well, I think it's going to play into that. Just for this show, with how the direction is going and how they've been misleading everybody so masterfully,
right?
It's hard to say who's going to be the big bad by the time it's all said and done.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's Agatha still. I mean, I think Agatha is responsible.
Oh yeah, well, it's funny. A friend of mine was asking me Friday because he knows I watch the episodes about when I get up. He asked me also how is it? I told him, and I don't give him spoilers. I'm like, oh, it's good. He goes, He goes, I don't mind if you tell me this. He goes, do we find out who's behind it? And funny choice of words on their part. Do we find out who's been behind it all? After all this time. I go, and I just kind of chuckle. I go, yeah. I go, you find out, and I go, and they're not subtle about it in any way, shape, or form.
No, I mean, how they introduced Agatha Harkness was brilliant.
Best villain introduction in comic show movie history?
It's in discussion.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe.
I will say it's definitely in discussion. I mean, I know Heath Ledger's Joker.
Oh, yeah.
Is kind of up there, too.
Yeah.
I would say, let me say this. For Marvel, I will say it's up there, if not number one.
Oh my God! You want to know how popular the song is? I just looked on the iTunes charts. This is for every genre of music they have on there. It's number 4. The only things above it are "Up" by Cardi B, "Driver's License" by Olivia Rodrigo, and then "Somebody Does" by Tiger Lily, I think is what the person's name is. But Agatha All Along is number 4 on all of iTunes.
But it just goes back to show the popularity of this show and how this moment just definitely got everybody wound up talking about it too. And obviously with Monica at the post-credit scene getting stopped by Pietro, or whoever that is. And now that's going to tie into so much for next week's episode. Next week's is going to be 47 minutes.
Supposedly.
Well, I'm going to go based off of that because I believe Feige mentioned that as well, too, just to reiterate.
Oh, okay.
So we'll have to wait and see because I know that there was a press release saying they're all going to be an hour. I don't know if they cut and paste and they want to just kind of stretch out the season finale.
Well, I think what people were got the whole hour thing from, because I never saw anything, at least last week, saying it was going to be an hour. I think where people got that from was he said that, there's going to be... It's like each season is going to total up to like 6 hours worth of content. So people were doing the math and went, oh, there's 3 episodes left. That means it's, we got 3 hours left to fill. That means each episode's going to be an hour. Not factoring in that you don't have to do an hour exactly.
Right.
So,
to wrap this segment up, I want everybody's prediction about what we're going to see this week, starting with Coach.
Answers. We're going to see answers finally.
I think they're going to take a page, because we got, 2 episodes left now?
Yep.
I think they're going to take a page out of the Game of Thrones and some of the, towards the end of the seasons of Walking Dead. Shit is going to hit the fan in, the worst way possible.
2 words, Doctor Strange. I think we see him at...
See, I think they save that for the finale.
Yeah, I don't think it's now.
He'll show up.
Yeah, he'll show up.
But I don't know. I don't think that it's going to be this episode. I think it's going to be. I think shit's going to hit the fan in the worst way possible. She's going to try fixing it, and Vision's going to try getting involved in trying to fix it, and the kids are going to and he's going to wake Quicksilver up out of his trance or whatever it is. They're going to try stopping it, and as the song says, it's too late. That's when Doctor Strange will go, all right, what the did you do?
What would be kind of fun is if in real Marvel-esque, if Doctor Strange showed up as a end credit. That would be.
That could be.
I mean, that would suck because, you want something to happen, but having him show up at the end credit thing would be such a Marvel move, especially since the credits have been 6 minutes the entire time. How many people have been like, fuck, I gotta sit through 6 minutes of credits because you're it's Marvel. They've trained us.
I think everyone who's watched this series now collectively hates the phrase, please stand by.
Right, yeah. So, I mean, now, the episode ends and I'm like, oh my God, what the hell? I turn it off because I'm I'm not watching through 6 minutes of credits.
Oh.
The next day, I go to watch a reaction video and they're like, before you watch this reaction video, if you haven't seen the end credit scene, and I slam my hand down on my knee and I'm, damn it. And Erin's upstairs getting ready. I think we're getting ready to go to do something. She goes, "What's the matter?" And I go, "There was a effing end credit scene of all the time." And I'm raving. I'm raving. I'm red hot about this because I'm not a big deal, but it's still you've
been waiting all the time.
Yeah, I've been waiting the whole time. The one time I'm like, nope, snip. Turn it off is the one time.
See, I was either Nerdist or IGN. Somebody posted something because I checked Facebook when I got out when I was making my breakfast. Nerdist or IGN had shared something. They didn't say what, but they said, hey, if you're watching WandaVision, this morning or today or whatever, make sure you stay through the credits because there's a scene in the credits. And I went, Awesome.
I think it was IGN because that's where I read it from.
Okay, so I saw that when I was making my breakfast. I'm like, oh, sweet, cool.
Guess we'll all have to wait to see what happens this Friday. But in the meantime, hit us up on that social media, will you? Let's discuss WandaVision in detail. We definitely want to talk some spoilers. We definitely want to talk about predictions for next week's show. You can find all our Twitter handles at ODParlayHour, so definitely let's keep that conversation going.
Tell Ken how great U.S. Agent is.
No, we can talk about that for Falcon Winter Soldier because I am ready to discuss that, my friend.
Based off the promotional images, we ain't ready for that first episode.
I know there's some big things going on. I can't handle that much right now. I want to get through WandaVision, get my week break, and then get all amped up for Falcon Winter Soldier, go through all the feels, and get really, really mad when I see U.S. Agent on the screen. But in the meantime, like I said, let's go have that conversation on social media, shall we? Let's talk some WandaVision. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Greetings, henchmen and loyal subjects. I am Evan the Great.
And I'm JVD. We're your hosts of the Fictional Battle Podcast, Crossover Collision, brought to you by the Villains Demand.
If you love hearing in-depth breakdowns of your favorite characters and what they are capable of doing while fighting in random battlegrounds against other fan favorites, then this is the podcast for you.
New episodes drop every Friday wherever you listen to your favorite podcast or over on thevillansdemand.com.
Coming back for segment number 2 on this edition of the ODPH podcast. And time to talk some more comic TV shows.
Yeah.
But now we're stepping back to the CW and to one of the most highly anticipated shows of the year.
Yeah.
And especially from the ODPH panel. Because ever since we saw Tyler Hoagland suit up as Clark Kent and come back in to the DC/Arrowverse, we've all been saying, when are we going to get a show?
Yeah, he deserved it.
Yeah.
And Hoagland has definitely been amazing in the role.
He's made it his own.
He's definitely carving his own niche with the role. And we did hear that there was going to be a show called Superman and Lois coming out.
Yep.
Kind of has been a little quiet about what the premise is going to be because obviously we saw what their involvement in Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah.
Kind of quiet since.
The hype the hype for the show kind of went from the announcement to like very like quiet to then like the teaser to the trailer,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And even with the trailer, it didn't give much to the story outside of, they're both out of a job. They're back in Kansas. They got 2 kids and their kids are struggling with just life in general. So, and you see a villain, but it's not any of the well-known rogues from Superman that you're familiar with. So it's not a lot to go on.
Yeah.
No, they definitely kept the mystery hidden,
Yeah.
which I thought was very smart.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
It sells itself just based off of Superman.
Right. Yeah. So very quietly, they announced it was going to be a 2-hour premiere. This show is going to be re-aired on TNT this Friday.
Oh, okay.
And it's also, I think, going to make the rounds on TBS. I'm not sure the time exactly as I'm looking at the computer right now. But we are going to be talking about the CW's newest hit, Superman and Lois, and the ratings from the initial premiere pad.
Yeah, according to reports that came out today, the initial ratings, and these ratings will go up in a couple of days once you add the DVR plus 3 days. So initial viewings last night was 1.75 million viewers.
And like we say, for going very under the radar as far as promotion,
Yeah.
that's a huge win.
And that's just households. That's not counting number of people. Because
Yeah.
in my house, it was 2 people. I know, Ken, when we were talking, it was 2 people for you.
2 people for me.
Yeah, so that's at least 6 people watching the darn thing.
Yeah, so we are going to be talking spoilers about the new Superman and Lois show. So if you haven't watched and you want to watch, pause this episode right here, watch the episode and jump back because we're going to deep dive into it in 3, 2, 1.
It was Agatha the whole time? No, I mean, I texted you guys. I mean, obviously, I love Superman. I have a Superman tattoo, as embarrassing as that probably is in 2021. But, I mean, I have it because I love the character. I grew up with the character. I texted you guys 12 minutes into the show. I loved it. I was already hooked 12 minutes in. I mean, I had to keep reminding myself, and Aaron, Aaron had to keep telling me, she's like, it's only 1 episode, Sean. I'm like, I know, but this literally is the character. This is Superman. Like the first 12 minutes, like you could from the opening time lapse of the background story to Superman for the people that weren't familiar with the character, to then seeing the relationship with Martha Kent, to the Daily Planet, to everything. I was like, oh my god,
Yeah, no, I mean, it was a great first 15 minutes. I know Stephen Amell himself tweeted last night, quote, 15 minutes in, the pilot of Superman and Lois is fucking awesome, close quote. I mean, it was great. You know, it retold the story that a lot of people are familiar with, but it didn't beat you over the head with details. It's like, listen, it was essentially like, listen, you know the story, but let's just bullet points it. Comes to Earth, ... You know, I loved everything about it. I loved seeing the Max Flesher suit.
Oh, the Easter egg.
Oh, my God. I saw it. I'm like, oh, that's... My dad goes, what? I'm like, no, that's the suit from the old cartoons.
I turned the same thing to Aaron. I go, oh, my God, that's his first suit. That's his first suit. That's the scene. That's the comic book. That's the cover.
And I haven't read it recently, but when I was reading some of the initial Superman comics, I want to say his first interaction with Lois was like verbatim taken from the comics.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they did such a stellar job about introducing fans who might not understand what Superman is all about.
Sure.
In 12 minutes, you knew who he was.
Yep. Yeah.
You got the vibe. You got how the mythos was.
Right.
And I think that for Superman, who is the symbol of hope, and Pat, we were touching upon this off air.
Yeah, so this year marks the 20th anniversary of Smallville premiering with season 1, which I don't have the exact date up in front of me, but I know it was either shortly before or shortly after September 11th happened here in the United States, in New York City and Washington, D.C.
It was after.
You know, so 9/11 happens, Superman, you know, Smallville debuts. We're now in the midst of a global pandemic, which is just absolutely wreaking havoc on the entire world. Superman show comes out.
Well, you know, and what's funny too, I mean, I guess not funny, but like, you know, looking back at the Smallville thing, you know, the creators of that show were very adamant about, you know, not having Superman have the suit on because like, you know, it was so passé back then, you know, Superman in his suit and all that. Like, it's so cliche.
Well, they said for years that the two things, he wouldn't fly and that he wouldn't be in the suit. Yeah, he had moments where he leapt through the air, but that's how Superman was in his early comics. He didn't fly; he leaped.
And it was such this, you know, backhanded thing of superheroes and everything. And it was like, you know, people were clamoring then, like, why, you know, give him something, you know, like that is an iconic symbol. So for the opening scene of this, you know, to see him embracing the costume, I'm getting fucking chills talking about right now. Like that's how, like to see him in the suit. And have that moment with the little boy, you know, that gung-ho, that happiness, the joy, you know, of, you know, the moment was like, that is Superman. Like, that is this character. Like, and then you, as the episode continues and you see, like, again, I talked about this with the Cavill character with the Snyder films. This is a man of inner conflict. Like, this is a guy who doesn't know his role on this planet. So as you see his interaction, and now, you know, you throw in the mix of having twins.
Yeah.
So now you're having this moment of, you know, a man with all the powers in the world not able to connect to his kids. Like that is Superman. Like it is not this a simple story. Like it's not just an alien comes to Earth and all of a sudden has magic powers and lives his life. Like this is a guy who was disbanded from his planet because it exploded.
Yeah.
Was having to hide his entire life because of his abilities, and now you throw in the mix that he has all these superpowers and two twin boys that he doesn't understand.
Yeah, it's really capturing kind of some of the more recent stuff that I'm blanking on the writer's
Bendis?
name. Thank you. Brian Michael Bendis has been doing with the comics where, you know, because Superman has his kid in the comics recently, you know, where it's a man that can literally do about damn near anything he wants to if he just figures out how to do it. But it still comes to these moments in his life where he has no idea what the hell to do. This is a guy that can fly from one end of the globe to the other in less than a blink of an eye, that can lift, you know, mountains literally and can pretty much bend steel, but still has these moments where it's like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. He's
the guy that always that radiates truth, justice, and hope.
Yeah, and that was the biggest thing that this had. Like, and I love when they bring back the idea of hope.
Yeah,
you know, like when they talked about it in Man of Steel, you know, and what the S meant, like that. You know, that was such a hit for me. Like that was like, oh my God, like what? How powerful is that? You know, like that is a symbol of hope. You know that. It's not just an S, like it is a symbol, you know, and then, you know, you see the moments of him being Superman, and you see just the the overall gravitas,
Yeah.
the demand that he has on the screen when he's in the costume. I was like, fuck, this guy's nailing this. Like, this is flawless. And then you see the Clark Kent moments, and you're like, fuck. Because it's easy to be, it's one thing to be a good Superman or a good Clark Kent. It's very seldom does somebody put both things together. Like Christopher Reeves was great at both, but that was because the guy was just a brilliant actor.
Yeah.
Henry Cavill, as great as he is as Superman, does he leave a little bit for Clark Kent?
Yeah.
You could argue that.
Yeah.
So to see both characters being portrayed so well and so meaningful, I was like, I watched the episode with just like in awe of how perfect the performance was.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, when Holden was doing dual duty, you really get the sense of the two stories, Clark Kent's and Superman's.
Right.
And for people that get turned off to Superman, because I'll face this and let me just kind of explain this.
You can play the devil's advocate, sure.
Yeah. Superman to me is only good if a writer can balance him out and give him realistic threats.
Sure.
Because at the end of the day, there is only a handful of villains in this DC Comics universe that can really challenge him.
Right.
The challenge is tapping into what can connect him to the reader.
Yeah.
And the reader can see the human problems.
Right.
So thus you see the relationship conflict he has with Lois, that he's trying to balance that out and be good to him, or be good to her, rather. You're seeing that he's trying to be good to his parents, and obviously we see as we go through the story of Smallville, he loses his father.
Right.
And he's trying to be there for his mother as well. And then after he gets married, he now has twin boys.
Yep.
Which is a very new concept in the comics, because we do know about Jonathan Kent.
Right.
Is very established in the DC Comics universe. Jordan Kent is a whole new ball of wax here.
Yep.
And as we see that his conflict is he's still trying to be the symbol of hope for the world, but he can't be the symbol of hope for his family.
Yeah.
And it's such a very dynamic that you get entranced with this show, that it's sitting there going, okay, he can stop basically anybody on the planet because he's Superman.
He stops a nuclear reactor from going sky high.
That scene.
Like
sick.
There's one point where I think he's in the middle of the reactor and he hears a scientist working with his super hearing, and he hears a scientist going, if this keeps going, this is going to be worse than the Fukushima explosion. And I went, oh fuck.
Yeah. Like they set the stakes high with that one.
Yeah, I mean the delivery of him, going into the water and freezing
Oh my God, that was
whatever
brilliant.
ocean or lake that it was, and pulling out the perfect shape, to cool the reactor.
That was something you'd see out of the comics.
Yeah, I mean, well, that was something you'd see. You did see it in one of the Christopher Reeves film. I think it was 4.
Yeah.
I mean, so like. Or 3. So no, it was 4. So like you literally see these moments where you're just like, oh my God, like the symbolism, again, the symbolism, which is such a key thing. And to your point too about like the human aspect of being able to connect the villain to him. Like, we grew up with the Reeves movies where Lex Luthor was the villain, and and Luthor at the time wasn't foe as in his fist, but mentally, the challenge that he presented to Superman.
Yeah.
So I always respected the aspect of Luthor will go to any means to defeat Superman. So like I grew up on that, so I get the connection of anybody can be a threat to him that possesses the ability to go to the next level. Yeah. So like, but for the general person, for the not Superman fan. Yeah, you have to find that connection, and I think they did that with this potential villain, because obviously, there was that great clash, which I was a little bit apprehensive of how they would tell, any sort of battle, because it's TV, that doesn't have the budget of, a Snyder multi-million-dollar blockbuster film, you know what I mean? So when they did the first toe-to-toe with the villain, I was like, I wonder how this is going to play. I thought it was just going to be straight fist in quote-unquote slow motion. And then all of a sudden, you see the chase scene, the flying, and I'm like, oh, they're taking this
Well,
there.
and especially for some of the other Arrowverse shows and the battles they've had. And this is a knock I know, Ken, you and I have said on the show before, that because it's a TV, and like, Coach, everything you just mentioned, it's TV, they don't have movie budgets. even for this, just overall production value and the special effects, this was a couple notches up from what I'm used to with some of the other CW stuff.
Yeah.
You know what it felt like to me, to be honest, was a DC Universe show.
I had the same thought.
Yeah.
It did for the budget. Like, this reminded me, like I say, strictly budget-wise, Stargirl.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, this reminded me of it.
It seemed like a couple notches up from what we're used to with Flash and
Yeah.
Arrow
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
everything else. That, yeah, it's CGI and we can tell, but like it's not the high quality. This was like some high quality stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, ooh,
and
okay.
you see it going from everywhere where he stops the nuclear reactor, and then they start playing into that mystery with Lois's dad being the general of saying, hey, we got to go stop whoever this threat is.
Right.
That is obviously leaving a message for Clark and saying, you know, you're nothing, son of Jor-El, and I will find you.
Yeah, and I know everything about you.
And I know everything about you. So it was kind of a little mystery going on. And then to balance out his home life where he has a disconnect with his son Jordan.
Yeah, who developed, you know, like that. And that was a really, I thought, a great point to have, you know, the one son, you know, Jonathan be a star athlete, you know, all the charisma, all the, you know, all the cool things, you know, and be that sort of level. And then have on the flip side of it, you know, Jordan, riddled with anxiety, obviously, you know, socially distant, you know, type of person who is more of an introvert than an outrovert as his brother. So like to have, and then have your dad, you know, be, and your mom, you know, not to mention, you know, Lois being obviously the number one, you know, writer and reporter in the world, and then having your dad have this inner, you know, Superman, you know, like, and then to see him struggling just finding his role was awesome, because then it presented this conflict again of, you know, Clark having to figure out how to connect to Jordan, which parents have all the time, you know?
Yeah, it's such a relatable scene, and I will say, I definitely want to give the writers kudos. They put Injustice 2 in the game.
I know, everybody loved that.
I lost my, I was like, I love that game.
Well, I loved him too, you know, beating the shit out of Superman, and then him being like, you know, oh, you got Superman in your game, bud. That's a pretty realistic looking Superman. And then him turn and be like, I'm Raiden, Dad. Superman's boring.
Yeah.
I love that line because like so when I had a son, you know, literally the first things that ran through my mind was the Richard Donner quote of, you know, the father seeing the son, the eyes through his son. Now the son sees the eyes through his father. Literally said that to my son the day, you know, minute he was born. I wanted him to grow up being a Superman fan. But, like, Batman's so prevalent. You know, my wife and I had this discussion because I was like, I wanted Finn to be a Superman fan. And she's like, but Batman, you know, is the most, you know, he's the most well-known. And I'm like, yeah, but, like, you got to understand, like, it's Superman. You know what I mean? So to see him say the line of Superman being boring, boring, I was like, God, that's a little baited, like, that's a meta joke. Because, like, a lot of people think Superman is boring. Like, that's awesome to put that in there.
Well, I think this is what the challenge the writers have, and I think they played it to a T. They caught the essence of the boys.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Spot on. And as we see, Clark is trying to go through being the good father to his children, but he's also trying to be the good son. And as he's talking with his mother, Martha, he does know the next day he gets called back to Smallville by the doctors.
Dr. Fry.
Yep.
Which was a Easter egg to the Donner films.
Yes. Very good catch on that. And as we see, Superman flies back in time to find out his mother has passed away.
Yep.
Which is a very emotional scene.
Yeah.
That scene was tough.
Oh,
yeah.
Like, I know that, you know, that this isn't going to get any awards, but, like, that was, god damn, man, that was great acting.
Yeah, no, we've seen, you know, his father die goodness knows how many times, and each time it happens, you know, while it's a different portrayal and different circumstances in some instances, it's still like, oh, you know, that sucks. But seeing this was like, oof, you know, fresh knife twisted in the old heart.
Yeah, because in the Reeves film, mom passes away, but you never even see it. You know, he's just on the farm, you know, picking up relics, you know, while after the funeral.
Yeah, and then I think in the animated series, they're both alive.
They are, yeah.
And then in Smallville, the father dies, but the mother is there. Well, she leaves, but she's still alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the comics, it's real messy. I'm just going to
Well, I mean, but comics are, you know. But,
timeline resets and all
Wait
that.
Wait a minute, the comics aren't simple and streamlined?
Marvel it is.
No, is it though?
That's debatable.
But no, like, if then Fantastic Four die and come back, I mean, let's talk messy. But anyway,
separate universes for the X-Men.
But no, I when I saw the scene, I was like, God damn, that punched you right in the gut. You know?
Yeah, it definitely did. And, I mean, how Tyler Hoechlin played this along with Elizabeth Tolich absolutely crushed it. I mean, how they were handling this, because now the family has to go back to Smallville, where they find out things are a lot different than they left.
Oh, it's
And
not
Lord
so...
knows the kids aren't thrilled about it. Where, what is it? Jonathan says, "Oh, great, we're going back to Smallville, where you can spend an entire year in one afternoon."
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was very cool how they played out. And then Clark runs into an old friend.
I figured out who this was very quickly.
Yeah,
Oh, I knew as soon. Yeah, I knew as soon as she walked in.
As soon as they started walking towards her, and the puppy dog look Clark had on his eyes, my dad went, "Who's that?" And I go, based off the look on his face, I'm guessing it's Lana.
Yeah, as soon as she turned around, the music started. I was like, "Oh no, there's our Lana."
Yep, played by Emmanuel Krookie, and she did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
With the role. And we find out what has really been going on, that Martha Kent, in true Kent fashion,
Oh, that scene too. God damn!
Yeah.
Like
there was some heavy stuff.
Like,
Yeah.
so I mean, I'm flashing forward, but like you find out that she had mortgaged off portions of the farm to pay off other people in the town who has been struggling's debt. And she said something to the effect of like Superman, and Lois drops that line of, well, yeah, I can't even remember what she said exactly, but it was something to the effect of like, Superman must have gotten that idea from somewhere, or she must have, and I was just like, fuck.
Yeah.
Stop doing this to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, no, they tie it in perfectly, because as Clark is finding out, there is more that's going on with this than he knows about. So obviously he's got an option that he's got to pay the mortgage off, or the debt to the bank, or he's got to sell the property.
And another thing too that I really liked that they did was Lana's husband.
Yes.
Oh my God,
Who
what
was
a dick.
Yes, he was a huge dick, but I liked it because not only does he obviously understand the relationship that Lana and Clark have and is jealous of it, which I thought was paramount, because like Lana also kind of came off dickish too when she talked about the bank thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, ooh,
Yeah.
Lana.
Some of the husbands rubbing off on the wife.
I was like, oh, is this
Yeah.
going to be a backdoor? Lana actually is a bad guy. Obviously, it turned out she was just a pawn in this scheme.
Yeah.
But like her husband being a dick, I really liked, because as we see in the party scene, which we'll talk about in a little more detail, like Superman could have came in and just blew out the fire and fixed everything.
Yeah.
But he didn't. He let the firefighters do their job, because I think he understands that like this guy has been through it. So like his dickishness was not only towards Clark as, the love Lana always had, but never, came to fruition, but also his resentment to their connection to Superman, because he sees himself as the hero, but doesn't get the praise or the justification that Superman does. While he's saving people in a small town, Superman might be saving the world, but to him, to Lana's husband, he's saving the world what he sees.
It was very Lex Luthor-esque.
It was. It was. It absolutely was.
And I love that scene where we find out the father doesn't like Clark, because as the kid with no filter says, "Oh, we know you don't like him because you got real mad when Mom was looking at his Facebook page." And I'm laughing, going, "Damn it! If every parent hasn't been in that situation before."
Facts,
Yeah.
dude. I watched the show, and like as a dad, like just the nuances of the children, I was like, God damn. This is it. This is the kid moment right here.
Yeah, when the kids are getting involved, it definitely was an interesting play too, because you see Sarah Cushing, played by In Navarrete, definitely takes a liking to Jordan Kent, played by Alex Garifin, and Jordan Elias, who plays Jonathan Kent.
Yep.
Kind of have this like bond there, because they know that, okay, we're the young kids of this.
Yeah.
We have that kind of connection. Like, okay, we don't know what's going on with our parents, but let's kind of, meet in the middle here.
Yeah.
We're going to be stuck here. We all kind of feel like we're outsiders from Smallville, so let's see what happens. And as they start pairing off, they start going into the barn.
Yeah, which they go, "Oh, our dads told us not to go in there because there's stuff in there that could kill us." And the Lana's daughter goes, "Well, I'm as a member of the FFA, I'll be the one to judge that." And my dad goes, "Yeah, no, there's probably stuff in there that can kill him." I go, "Yeah, especially if the ship is still in there."
Well, I know, and I thought maybe like because in the movies they had kept kryptonite inside by the ship, so I was like, oh, maybe they come across that, and all of a sudden one of the boys gets sick. Like, I didn't know. Like, and then obviously they walk by one of the farming equipment, and they're like, well, that would kill somebody.
Well, she goes, "No, yeah, everything in here could kill you."
Yeah.
Yeah, and as we see that Jordan is trying to reset the Wi-Fi, he winds up slipping.
Which why is it in a barn? Like,
well, I think we're gonna find out later on.
Probably.
That is kind of a makeshift fortress of solitude, and like not the real one, but
Right.
like a makeshift.
I also thought
an early one.
I also thought maybe it was like the transponder. Maybe that could be like her router for her transponders,
Maybe.
because obviously
Maybe.
being out there probably doesn't have the best for satellite connection like in the inner cities. So
It could quite possibly be.
Yeah.
So as Jordan tries resetting it, he does wind up knocking off some pipes,
Yep.
and then
What makes it look like Jonathan was the one who lunges in
Yeah.
to save the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
turned out to be Jordan.
Yeah.
And they both walk away basically unscathed.
Mild concussions.
Mild concussions, both of them, which
Yeah.
I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
How they worded that. And as we find out later on in the episode, Jordan seems to be the one with the powers, not Jonathan.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is going to be a play down the road. And Clark.
Yeah, because Lois at one point, they're not sure. They think it's latent powers developing themselves, and Clark goes, "Are we sure it's Jonathan?" And Lois goes, "Have you seen him throw a deep route?"
I love that line.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the whole time, like they're setting it up to be Jonathan, because he throws the football at the
Yeah.
tire, it knocks down.
Yeah.
Clark, gives him the, the elbow of, oh, look at that, that's my
Yeah.
boy,
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh shit, like and then he's the varsity quarterback as a freshman, so like they keep setting it up where like he's going to be the one with powers, and like the whole time I'm like, I kind of hope it's not, because I would like the merit of him being, a great athlete, just being him being a great athlete. Like that would be a great story. And then obviously this all plays out with Jordan then being the one that ends up having the powers, I think makes it even better, because earlier in the episode, he said something about, how do I know that my anxiety isn't caused by you hiding this from me?
Yes.
Which...
Because once we get the big reveal,
Yeah.
it opens a whole different ball of wax.
Right, which I was like, damn, that hit again on so many other levels, because you talk about these parents that have like, they project diseases on their kids, which is, definitely an unfortunate thing, like whatever, but like you have that idea, and now you have, Lois and Clark who are sitting here like, I don't want to tell the boys, this secret that I have, because I don't want that burden on them. But did them not revealing that to them create more of a burden on the boys? Like, we don't know,
It's a great struggle for superheroes. When you try living a normal life and you try keeping your family safe, I mean, that's why half of them wear masks.
Right.
So-
Or wear glasses that, your sons who see you every day can't do a little side-by-side view, which Aaron and I got a real laugh when he took off the glasses and we're like, oh, he's Superman.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the day it's revealed that he has some kind of temporal mind control that he can block that out from people recognizing.
Well, I always said, like, all right, at least, like, because the Christopher Reeve stories were always, like, not only was it just the glasses, but the hair.
Yeah.
Like, the hair would come down the little curly Q, and, like, all of a sudden, like, and then his posture would change and stuff. Like, that's how he always hit himself. But then when Henry Cavill came and portrayed him, it was like, there's no difference between how you're Clark Kent and how you're Superman. Like, so, to see, like, him take off the glasses, it's just like, come on, boys. Are you that, like, your dad, like, you see Superman on the screen. How do you not look at your dad and say, hey, Dad, can you take your glasses off for a second,
Yeah, so it winds up being this kind of weird reveal, and it just plays to the show. I mean, when Clark finally decides to tell the boys what happens, but he does get called away because there's another attack on a nuclear plant.
Yep.
And this is where the episode really picks up some steam, because we get that fight scene that we've been talking about.
Yep, where I was awesome because he flies into the building. The villain is kind of revealing, all of these things that he knows about Superman, and that he knows that he can't see him behind lead. As he's cutting this promo, Superman, is looking in through various like doors to finally find him, and then all of a sudden you see this moment of a freeze camera, and I'm like, that's why I thought it was going to be like a slow motion fight, because like they do the pause camera, but then all of a sudden he takes off and it's full speed again. I'm like, yes, and then he throws him outside the building, and I'm like, oh my god, shit is getting real.
Yeah, no, it was a fantastic scene. And then as it's kind of jumping around, we do see them go into space.
Yep, which also was sick.
Yeah.
Yes, and we see this armored person, because we don't know who he is.
Nope.
Armor kind of looked like Halo-esque.
Yeah, I was
A little bit. Inspired.
Trademark.
Yeah, I thought it looked. Yeah, I was like, wait, is he fighting Master Chief?
Yeah,
like,
right.
Okay, this is gonna get weird, but all right, I'm here. And we do see this gentleman stab Clark with some kryptonite.
Which I have a little bit of a beef with. Okay, like, it's Superman getting stabbed with kryptonite, and you're, like, falling, and you just pluck it out of you?
He struggled.
He did struggle.
Barely. Like, yeah, I mean, like, listen, like, that was stabbed an inch away from your heart. Like, Superman don't, like, come on.
The only thing I can refer to is once he starts having the flashback and you hear his family call out, because at this time, too, the sons are at a party.
Right.
And things are going haywire because Jordan winds up kissing Sarah, and Sarah's got a boyfriend. Like, the teenage drama.
I'm just thinking, like, even in the Cavill films when he's fighting the Doom device and, like, he's struggling to do it and, like, you know, it takes all of his might to do it, and, like, there's the kryptonite scene and everything. It's like, come on. Like, this, it doesn't just, like, Superman doesn't just pluck out fucking kryptonite and feel better. Like, it's a struggle. Like, that's small gripe.
Yeah.
But it's just something that bothered me.
I just treated it like it was adrenaline kicking in, and then Kryptonian DNA, like it was something different. Like, I agree with your point, though.
Yeah.
I do agree with your point.
As a real Superman fan, like, kryptonite means something. So to him just fucking discarding it and then being better, like, I was like, whoa, that's a little much. That's a little John Cena-esque, you know? Like, that you just don't bounce back, my guy. Like, it takes you basking in the sun.
Yeah.
You know, a little vitamin D.
Well, I mean, rewatching Smallville as I'm currently doing, I'm almost done with season 2. At least early on from that show, kryptonite would get involved, and it would almost always be somebody coming in right in the nick of time to cover it up, throw it away.
Right.
And he'd lay there for a couple, like, oh, no, this hurts, and then gone.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, I was 13 when that show came out, so I wasn't really noticing kryptonite then. But, like, when you go back and you watch what kryptonite did to Superman, you're like, all right, just to pluck it out of you. Like, the dude couldn't even touch it in some of the, you know, depictions of Superman. To all of a sudden, now he can pull it out with his bare hands? What movie? Wasn't it? It was the Brandon Roth film. He couldn't even touch it.
Oh, yeah.
He couldn't, like, it burned his hand. So, like, all of a sudden, just...
Yeah.
Weak.
It was kind of weak, so it's like, okay.
Or super strong.
Yeah, one of the two. Like I said, I just chalked it up to adrenaline.
Yeah, listen, I get it, and it was because that's what the story they were trying to say with him realizing the boys need him and stuff. Like, I got it.
A little
it just
motivation
bothered me.
from Lois.
Yeah, like I said, when Lois kicked in, it just turned everything to a different level. So Clark winds up coming in to kind of assess the situation going on because Jordan has used his powers now
to blow up a bonfire.
Yeah, which that's going to just get messy as the season goes on.
And what they find out later? Oh, what did your dad think of that? Because we're really concerned about. Oh, I think it was a pocket of methane gas.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. What?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think anybody buys that for a second.
Well, I mean, to be where they were, I kind of did get it. Because, like, they were in what looked like a coal mine.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, like, a methane pocket could have, you know.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a
Something
stretch.
tells me that's what the father's telling her. That's not what he believes.
Yeah, which I think we're going to find later on the road. Meanwhile, at all this point, too, because this ties into why this change of scenery is going to be taking place, is Lois has been investigating what is going on with these loans and when Martha was involved.
Because at one point she goes, listen, you have super hearing and super sight. She goes, I have super smelling and something doesn't smell right. To which Clark goes, you know I have super smelling too, right?
I just don't use it very often.
Yeah.
Yeah. So during this, she does find out that there is a connection going on with what is going on in Smallville with what happened at the Daily Planet.
Yep.
Because there is one character by the name of Morgan Edge. Now, we have heard this character's name get mentioned in Supergirl.
Yep.
Okay.
So it's not the same actor playing it.
Oh, interesting.
So that's what I thought was kind of interesting.
Well, I mean, just a tidbit on that real quick. I know that this was the pilot, so they probably didn't want to do a little tie-ins.
Sure.
But did anybody else really get a odd vibe that it just really wasn't connected to anything in the Arrowverse at all?
Well, I mean, in terms of prior to this Arrowverse, he's the season 2 of Supergirl. He's not even there. Mm-hmm. It's just text messages back and forth. And then by and large, it was he'd make an appearance and then he'd leave. There wasn't really much to go off of.
Right. And I mean, to the Supergirl credit to that, though, like, I mean, part of the story was they did go to that Candaron.
Yeah.
You know, so, like, I understood, like, his absence from there because, like, that's where he was supposed to be. But, like, now he's on Smallville.
Right.
And, like, to not have any, like, a news story come up of, like, the Flash does this or, like, anything was like a little bit like, and the way that it was shot and the filming, like it just really felt like it was totally separate and disconnected, which I don't mind. Like, don't get me wrong. I really wondered and questioned, like, is this going to be like their first standalone, or are they going to end up leading to something?
I think they're going to wind up leading to something, but I think they want to establish the groundwork first.
Yeah,
and
which makes sense.
And they'll tie in, because I think that they're just really trying to focus on, okay, we need to break away from what Supergirl has established and forge her own identity.
Right.
Which they're going to do.
Which, I mean, the bad guy obviously at the end reveals like that it's General Luthor, Captain Luthor.
Yeah, Captain
so,
Luthor.
So, I mean, is he from, maybe one of the other Earths that got destroyed? Like, that's always a possibility, and that would tie into Infinite Crisis, so, like, a lot of that would make sense. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different parts moving on. So,
Yeah.
like I said, the Morgan Edge thing could be a ploy, and it could not be the real Morgan Edge. Like I said, there's so many different ways they can play it. The only thing that we know is there's a connection between Smallville and the Daily Planet. Since the Daily Planet's been bought out, that they're seeing layoffs left and right. Clark was fired.
Yep.
So now they go back to Smallville and find the same person who's responsible for doing the buyouts.
Yeah.
Very ironic.
Yeah, so they decide, okay, we're going to decide to take a vote about moving here to Smallville and investigating.
Yep.
Which is going to be an interesting play to see how this goes. And as we touch upon, too, at the end of the show, we find out that Master Chief of the Arrowverse turns out to be talking to an AI and then is referred to as Captain Luthor.
Yep.
Now, we never see this person's face. We do see that person is bald.
Yep.
So where we go from here is anybody's guess, but that's how they leave the show off.
Yeah, and I thought it was a way to end the show.
Yeah.
Definitely led to more questions than answers, so I thought that was good, because I obviously, after seeing the fight scene and seeing him need rocket boosters to fly, I was like, all right, so we know he's not Kryptonian. Like, that's the one thing, like, at least is answered. So
right. Well, what did he say? He said he was from nearby Krypton or something to that effect.
Well, he said something that his planet exploded too.
Yeah. So it sounds like it was in the same neighborhood, not necessarily on Krypton, but in that general vicinity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how he's going to play off is going to be anybody's guess, but he does know Superman's true identity. So is this going to be the Lex Luthor of this?
Well, he knows his true Kryptonian identity.
He knows his Kryptonian. So, like I say, is it going to be a Lex Luthor type moment? I don't know, because, I mean, obviously, if they are now merged in the same universes, they're going to kind of have to explain something. And I think you touched upon that it is going to be Alexander Luthor from Infinite Crisis.
Yeah.
That we're going to see that kind of play out. So, I mean, there's so many different possibilities going. But for what this show did, I think they nailed it out of the park.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm very excited to see a Superman portrayal, and like my son, like we had put him to bed, and he kind of like got up, and it was like right in the middle of like Superman wearing the suit, so he was like, "Oh my, Superman show, like I want to watch it," and we were like, "Well, maybe you can catch it later." Like, it's not going to catch the younger generation, with the action scene like a lot of the other stuff does. But, at the same time, the story that's going to tell from, like, our generation and, the older generation, and even some teens that will be able to connect to the characters being, that there's two, teenage boys on the show. It's going to introduce a whole new generation of Superman, which I appreciate a ton.
See, I think it can hook the kids like yours, because to me, I was going to save this for my final thoughts, but I'll say it now. To me, I got some very heavy vibes off of this show from early seasons of Smallville, where, minus the Freak of the Week thing with Smallville, which relied heavily on for the couple of early seasons.
Ugh.
It reminded me very much of the early seasons of Smallville, where it's got the core essence of Superman, family, the powers and responsibility and this, but it doesn't lean too heavily into kind of the lore and get too deep into the stuff with Superman that, like, it's enough there that, like, okay, if you're a Superman fan, you're hooked. But it's not so deep that if you're, like your son or somebody who's just, I've seen a Christopher Reeve movie and I've seen the Henry Cavill Man of Steel, but I'm not that big into it. It's enough that, like, it's good for the diehard fans like us. But it's also enough for the folks like my father who saw the Christopher Reeve movies. He's seen the Man of Steel movie once or twice. He's not that big a Superman fan, but he liked it.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with my son is that, with the Marvel films, the action.
Sure.
So, that's how you catch the kids' attention in a 1 hour show.
Sure.
How much of an action scene are they going to have? Because I really predict that this show is going to be a lot more dedicated to the smaller picture of things, and you're going to see the bigger picture Superman stuff very seldomly. Like, it's going to be used almost like if we can compare it to wrestling, like when a big-time retired star comes back, like The Rock or a John Cena, like, it's going to be used when it means something. It's not going to just be used.
It's not going to be every week.
Yeah, it's not going to be every week. There's going to be episodes where it's going to be Superman-less, and people are going to be like, oh my God. But, like, for us, like, the people that love the character, like, we're going to still gravitate towards it because it's still the story. You know what I mean? So, like, people, if you don't see Superman in an episode, like, chill. You'll get it down the road. Like, there's a big bad guy. Captain Luthor's out there. Like, it's going to be a problem that Superman's going to have to solve. But you're going to get episodes where it's going to be Lois investigating stuff.
Yep.
And it's going to be Superman maybe ping a lock, with his laser eyes or heat vision to, undo the lock so Lois can get in. It's going to be that stuff. Just deal. Like, there's gonna be a payoff.
I would say I just can't wait for them to get into some of the other rogues, because there's a few that I'm thinking of that I'm like, oh, if we can get to them using this villain, I am all for it.
Right.
I think what this show did was hit its mark on establishing Superman can be relevant in the year 2021.
Sure. Yeah.
For an audience that gets very disposable. And let's face it, the attention span of some fans is, you got to hit me one episode to get me hooked. They're not going to sit around and wait for something to build.
Right.
This show definitely hit all the marks it needed to. Because not only did you show a flawed Superman, you showed one that had the big action sequences.
Yep.
You showed the one that was the symbol of hope that we all resonate with as being comic book fans, because you want to see that in your superheroes.
Right.
You saw everything that you wanted to see out of the show, that it had a different feel from other shows you've seen on the CW.
Which was perfect.
Yes.
Because that really needed to be, because a problem with a lot of the Arrowverse shows is that they just all kind of follow a similar pattern. So for this show to have more of a separate, different vibe, I thought was perfect, because we don't need Arrow 2.0. We don't need Flash 2.0. Like, we needed a Superman show, and I really think we got it.
Yeah, we definitely did. And I think what they did is they borrowed a lot from Black Lightning's first season, because I always say that season is always family-oriented first. Like, if you haven't seen Black Lightning's first season, it's absolutely epic. And I think they borrowed kind of the same thing, where we can show a superhero not having to be the superhero.
Right.
Let's see the family dynamic, and let's see how this looks. And especially, you have children that are flawed.
Right.
That they're not the perfect Boy Scouts that you are portrayed to be.
And they don't know where they fit either, which is also another connection that they have to their father.
Yeah, which I thought they did a great job establishing. They didn't tie too much into his past, and they definitely made it bright for the future.
And the other awesome thing with the show is they said in the episode that you would think, oh, Jordan's going to start developing the powers like Clark did, and Clark just, oh, here's what I did, here's what you do. But they said from when he started developing his powers, Clark said he's developing his powers in a way I didn't. So it's like, okay, you have your experiences to lean on, but it's not entirely going to apply here.
And let me just get my one gripe in there. And I texted you guys, and I put it on Twitter. Tyler Hoechlin, you did fantastic. Your acting skills, tremendous. You carried the banner well. I just wish you would have put on about 10 more pounds of muscle. I'm sorry. The chest piece, the suit, looked a little awkward when he was trying to fill that thing out. I just 10 more pounds. That's all I think you need. Just 10 more. Because when I think of Superman, I'm thinking of Henry Cavill, who put on a good amount of size for being only 5'9".
Yeah.
And I'm also thinking of the comic books. And I'm not saying I want you to be like a looking bodybuilder, but like just 10 more pounds. Just fill out the chest piece a little bit more. Just fill it out. That's all. That was it. That was my thing. I was like, yeah. And Aaron was like, Sean, seriously? Like, I go, I know it's dumb, but like that's just how when I envision my Superman, like, the suit was perfect.
Yeah.
Just if he would have actually filled out the suit and not had that chest piece. That's it.
You never know. A season might go on. He might start doing that.
Hey, I mean, if they get to season 2, you never know. He could always do it.
Already confirmed for season 2.
Well, then, Tyler, if you will, just oblige one man who has one small critique of your wonderfully well-done show, 10 pounds.
We do know people from the CW who listen to the show, so, it's not going to fall on deaf ears. So let's just say that.
And I guess I can't tell you to put on that weight. I guess that's not... Just step on the scale, see what it says, step off of it, and add 10 pounds. That's what I want.
No,
if I can borrow that line from Knocked Up. That's what I want.
We'll give you that. But definitely a lot to take away from this episode. Definitely strong debut for Superman and Lois. So definitely hit us up on that hashtag ODPH, or hashtag ODPH pod, whichever you want to use. Let us discuss Superman and Lois in detail. Is this going to be your new show for this 2021?
Yes.
Let's talk. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Have you ever found yourself confused about the current state of the MCU or whatever the hell is happening with the DC universe?
Do you often have no idea what the hell the difference is between craft beer and that Bud Ice stuff at the gas station?
Well, then look no further.
We present to you Hops Geek News.
We're yet another geek and beer podcast in an already oversaturated market.
All right. We drink and we pretend we know things.
More often than not, we don't really know things, but we do talk some really great topics, and we most definitely can drink.
We'll deliver you news and then dive into any random topic you might have never knew you actually were passionate about.
With lots of fun facts about beer.
And from Marvel to DC and Star Wars, and to why Die Hard is most definitely a Christmas movie.
Which it is. Basically anything that our spouses are sick of hearing us talk about. Join us on YouTube or anywhere you listen to podcasts.
New episodes weekly. Just search Hops News.
Time for another segment here on the ODPH podcast, and time to talk some wrestling.
It was Agatha the whole time.
It wasn't Agatha in the Elimination Chamber.
It was me, Agatha. It was me all along.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been epic.
That would have been great.
That would have been so epic. But no. We have to recap the WWE Elimination Chamber that went down this past Sunday. A lot of moving and shaking going on for WrestleMania, so we have a clear direction of what is happening.
Kind of surprising, too, for a pay-per-view before WrestleMania. I mean, a lot of times it's kind of just the Elimination Chamber obviously excels itself because of the carnage that can happen, but not a lot of title changes go on at this point to Mania because normally a lot of the title situations and pictures are kind of set.
Yeah. So this one definitely was an interesting pay-per-view on a lot of different fronts. The shortest one in recent memory, which...
Yeah, also weird.
Well, due to circumstances outside their control.
Right, which, like I said, I understand it was outside their control, but I wasn't mad at that it was a short pay-per-view.
Why?
Well, one, because Lacey Evans is legit pregnant.
Right. Oh, so they cut that match.
They cut that
out.
match out, yeah.
And then Keith Lee was taken out of the Riddle match.
The triple threat.
Yeah, even though they did add John Morrison in, but I think they might have shortened that match up because of that.
Okay.
So, Pad, we got the breakdown of what happened this past Sunday?
So, yeah, as we mentioned, Keith Lee, because of injury, had been taken out of the United States Championship triple threat match. So, on the pre-show, they had a fatal four-way to determine who would take his spot, and that was between Mustafa Ali, Ricochet, Elias, and John Morrison. And John Morrison emerged victorious to earn a spot in the triple threat.
Yeah, why would they give it to Ricochet?
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed he didn't get the shot. I was actually hoping Ali did. But,
well, I mean, that would have been nice for Retribution to have some sort of fucking, momentum behind them.
But you know what? I think they're already planning on burying the gimmick, which is long overdue.
It was buried the moment it debuted.
Oh, I agree, but now they've been having the tease of the breakup. Ali is turning on everybody.
They ended up costing Ali the match in the end because they got fatal four-way. No disqualifications. They tried helping, but in reality, they didn't.
Yeah, so end of the day, though, I mean, that gimmick's going to be going away by Mania. I'm guaranteed. They might even do a stipulation between him and Kofi.
Yeah.
Who knows what's going to happen there.
Yeah.
But end of the day, John Morrison gets the W, so he got put in the U.S. title match.
Yep. So then we went into the main show, which led off with, I guess you could call it the Smackdown Elimination Chamber match. Mm-hmm. That was between Cesaro, Jey Uso, Kevin Owens, Daniel Bryan, King Corbin, and Sami Zayn, where the winner would go on to face Roman Reigns that night for the Universal Championship, and Daniel Bryan emerged victorious.
Thoughts on this, Coach?
Cesaro got some shine.
Yeah,
and I was very happy. I was very happy about that because he obviously cut that great promo on Talking Smack, and has a lot of momentum behind him. So to be in this match, A, and then B, get opportunities to, have interactions with, Kevin Owens, who's been a staple of the SmackDown brand since he's been there. Obviously has been in the title picture the last 3 pay-per-views. Mm-hmm. To go up against Daniel Bryan and have moments against him, who obviously Daniel Bryan speaks for himself, his career body of work in the WWE. So, to have Cesaro go in there and really dominate, I would probably say 2/3 of the match was awesome.
This was the longest match of the night, clocking in at 34 minutes and 7 seconds, but it didn't feel like it. It was a great way to start off the card and really got me into it. Everybody performed really well, and there was a shine with everybody. Nobody, didn't feel anybody got left out on the side. Everyone had their moments where it's like, holy shit, I can't believe they're doing this, but a great match.
First off, Sami Zayn, rock star.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I loved his work in this match. Everybody, like Pat touched upon, everybody got their shine in this one. Cesaro looked impressive, which I think for a lot of people that forgot about him, he's now starting to get some attention thrown back on him, which is long overdue in my opinion.
I don't know if people necessarily forgot about him or more so just like
They remembered him.
No, like they just for like us, he's just not ever going to be in the title picture, and like we kind of accepted that, and now this kind of sets our hopes up again of, well, maybe he will get something, so almost might have set us up for failure.
It almost might have too. I mean, we got to kind of wait and see, but I do like the fact that they're teasing enough contenders for the throne.
Yeah.
Right.
That you're not just stuck in like, okay, one guy is going to win this match and that's it.
Roman Reigns is facing Kevin Owens for the 19th time.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what, I mean, we obviously went in thinking that that's what it was going to be because, like, does it make sense for anybody to win it, to have a title match at this juncture with Edge right around the corner? Like, it didn't make sense.
See, I thought Daniel Bryan was actually going to win this.
Oh, yeah, you did say that. You did say
that. Because the minute Friday night on SmackDown, Edge and Roman got physical.
Right.
I was like, it's Edge and Roman.
Yeah, I'm not happy about it.
I'm not happy either. Like, well, let me say this. I'm not ecstatic about it. I'm not mad about it. I get it, but I'm not
Right.
Okay.
To me, it doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, what, because they both do a spear?
Well, I think they're going to try setting up the storyline as it goes on now. They got a little time to work, so they'll make something happen. I have full faith in Heyman and company with this one.
Sure.
But I figured, okay, well, if they got physical, well, this is D-Bry's moment. He's going to get his little title shot.
Yeah.
Right.
And then immediately after he won, in a complete heel move, Roman comes to the ring.
Fantastic.
Well, he'll move, but they announced it on the fucking pre-show, and that's one thing that annoyed me with Michael Cole. They win the match, and D-Bry's having his moment. They're raising the cage. They said on the pre-show that immediately after the Elimination Chamber match with the SmackDown Superstars, they will face Roman Reigns. Roman's music hits, and Michael Cole goes, I guess we're going to have that match right now.
Oh,
yeah.
see, I didn't watch the pre-show.
I missed that on the pre-show, too.
They said it on the pre-show multiple times that, immediately after that match, they will face Roman Reigns.
I mean, to me, that still feels like, though, Paul Heyman's negotiation skills. Like, that's how I'm going to spin it in my head.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they said on the pre-show, it'll immediately after that match, he'll face Roman Reigns.
Well, it would make sense because, I mean, the heel character work Roman's been doing, it just fit right in. So
Right.
I wasn't mad about this. I wasn't mad at the ending at all. I know it went real short.
Yeah, well...
D-Bry having won the Elimination Chamber match went on to face Roman Reigns immediately after in a match that was only 6 seconds longer than Goldberg versus Brock at Survivor Series. That match was 1 minute and 26 seconds. This match was 1 minute and 32 seconds.
Yeah, but I mean, that tells the story of the Elimination Chamber.
It does, and I knew Roman was going to win. Under no circumstances did I think Daniel was going to win. I was just hoping we'd get something a little longer out of it. Now, I'm not saying a 25-minute slugfest, but Jesus Christ, give us 5 minutes.
No, I thought it was perfect. It was the way it needed to be.
Yeah, I mean, you just want to get that initial reaction from Roman. Like, not that he needed it, but it worked.
Right, and it worked, and then it led to the Edge thing, which is really what they were trying to get to, which I still am not happy about.
Right.
And I will voice that opinion all the way to WrestleMania.
Nah, bring it on, man. I'm not mad at you.
It just doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, it just doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, if I'm Edge, like, either A, I'm trying to chase the title that I never gave up. Mm-hmm. Like, that would have been the story that, I don't know. I just fucking, they're not going to have a great match. Like, Edge can't fucking bump, and Roman doesn't fucking bump. So, like, what are you going to do? Like,
well, I think that I understand your point. Like, I'm not dismissing it.
Please, sell me it, because I would appreciate then being excited.
No, I think what they're going to just do here is they do have some story to build off of. Not much, but they do have something. I mean, Edge coming back, it's the fairy tale and comeback of all comebacks. He wins the Royal Rumble, wins the championship.
But wouldn't that be chasing the Raw title? Would be the fairy tale story?
You would think, but I think for what Roman wants to do is Roman wants to solidify himself as a legend. What better way than take out the legend of WrestleMania? And Edge is one of them.
All right.
Like I say, it's not a great story per se, but I want to give him time to breathe with it.
I will say the only good thing about the Roman Debray match was the Roman had went for the spear and Debray countered immediately into the S-lock.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, how they
shit.
fused that ending was great too.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I wasn't mad about it at all.
Yeah, so after that was the United States Championship match between Bobby Lashley defending against John Morrison and Matt Riddle. Riddle. With Riddle emerging victorious as your new...
Oh, did they drop the mat?
Yeah, they dropped to Matt being your new United States Champion.
Stop doing that. People have two names.
Yeah,
Like, I just don't understand.
it's a Vince thing.
Like,
Yeah.
are they, when the next 2K game comes out, if it ever does, like, are they only going to let you pick one name?
I don't know.
Maybe.
I'm gonna type it in.
Yeah.
See what happens.
No, this match was...
It was okay.
Yeah, it was all right. I mean, it's cool to see Matt Riddle have a title. I definitely didn't predict... I didn't see it happening so soon. And I definitely am surprised at how the story is playing out with, now this deal between... and it was kind of weird, too, the way that it was told that, like, the Miz brokered a deal that I guess, like, John Morrison wasn't aware of, but then, like, was aware of, and now he cost him the U.S. title so he can get in a WWE. They're very weird.
They're
convoluted.
They were trying to do this multi-layered storyline, and it just didn't come off that way because it basically was like Miz was masterminding this whole plan at the expense of John Morrison, so they can set up the initial breakup between them.
It would have worked better if they'd had cut out all the stuff prior to what happened later in the night that we'll get to.
Right.
And then the next night on Raw, like we had
Show the
happen,
video
it
footage.
show like, hey, yeah, you won the belt, but you didn't tell people how it happened. Roll the footage.
Yeah.
And then show it. And then we go, holy shit, what a heel.
Because it's funny, too, because I had read, like, a report, I think it might have been Cage Side or somebody that said, like, oh my God, the U.S. title before the guy from the Hurt list. Lashley. Jesus, fuck. If Lashley didn't get in the world title picture now, then he was never going to get in it. So, like, it was really funny that I read that story, and then that night he did lose the U.S. title, and then the next day he's in the world title picture.
Well, I know Rich and I talk about this on 607 TWS all the time. And
Yeah.
if you asked 6 months ago about Lashley being a world title contender, we would have said you're out of your mind.
No. Well, when Lashley came back, it was heavily rumored that, that's Brock's opponent.
Yeah, he wanted Brock.
Whatever,
Like,
whatever
back
it was,
for Brock.
SummerSlam. Like, that's going to be Brock's opponent at SummerSlam. Like, that's why they brought him back, was to be a legitimate threat to Brock.
Well, and then obviously storylines happened and it didn't go off the way it should have. But once he got with the Hurt Business, you now started to believe.
Yeah, got a little new life. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Just
obviously
took a couple miles to get there.
it did, but we're here.
Couple
now.
years.
Yeah.
We're here now, and like I was saying, I'm fully sold on this. The minute that Riddle won, I was shocked because I thought Keith Lee was going to win this, and the fact that I thought the match was shorter than expected because he wasn't there.
Hey, Austin 316. Somebody.
So
So obviously the title coming off of Lashley was in the plans.
Yeah, that was in the plan to be. So
Yeah.
I wasn't mad about it because the minute after this happened, I'm like, Lashley's going for the world belt.
Yeah, this is just the only thing I didn't get was Riddle wearing the Evil Knievel gear. Like, why?
It's Riddle.
Yeah, about it.
Matt. It's
Yeah,
Matt Riddle.
It's Matt. We'll just call him Matt from now on.
Up next was Coach's favorite match of the night, and the one he was most excited for, that was the Women's Tag Team Championship match between Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler defending against Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks.
Ooh, Ken, ask me what my reaction was to this match.
I should mention just quickly that Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler did emerge victorious to retain the Women's Tag Team Championship.
Coach, what was your reaction?
I didn't watch it.
I knew you weren't. So you
I
honestly,
didn't even. I saw the entrance, and I think it was up. Time to
Bathroom break.
I don't even think it was a bathroom break. I think I was going outside to watch the snowfall.
No, I mean,
Wow.
this match
I said it. No discredit to Sasha Banks and
Bianca.
No disrespect there. You two put on a great performance.
Yeah.
Given the fact that you were given chicken shit and you still made chicken salad. So.
Yeah. I mean, for me, this match was, probably second from the bottom. I'm not counting the Debray versus Rowan encounter because that's not even a match. Bottom of the list, I'd say the Riddle Lashley Morrison match was bottom just because it was it was okay. But this one, there were some cool moments to it. You know, it was a little bit of fun. It wasn't, you know, anything I'm like, oh, holy shit, I got to tell people to go watch this back. That, oh my God, you won't believe what happened. It was okay.
I'm just trying to figure out what's going on with Carmella's sommelier. Like, that just came out of nowhere. Like,
as someone who doesn't watch SmackDown because I'm busy with my girlfriend on Friday nights, I was confused as all fucking hell.
Bow chicka bow wow.
Yeah, that whole storyline is just...
Because legitimately, like, they really need to do something about that because they didn't, as someone, like I said, I don't watch SmackDown, I had no idea what the fuck was going on.
Yeah, I knew that he had gotten involved in the Sasha Banks Carmella pay-per-view from the, what was the one before, Rumble? Yeah. Was that?
Yeah.
So he was involved in that title match, and I saw that, and I know that they wrestled at one point, Sasha and him, but like all of a sudden, like, you know, he's now like getting involved in their business. I was like, this doesn't make a ton of sense. It just happened out of nowhere.
It's a weird storyline that I think eventually they're going to have Reginald face Kalisto, because Kalisto is actually like really best friends with Sasha Banks in like real life. Like they're actually like really friends. So, and I know he was kind of almost like they were almost teasing like Kalisto was going to be doing the same kind of role for Sasha.
Maybe
a little bit
weird.
Yeah, it's something like along those lines. But I will say this: if they do a Reginald versus Kalisto program, I'd be okay with it. Wouldn't be mad about it at all. But this whole storyline and this whole match was kind of like meh. And I'm just. I as much as a Shayna Baszler fan I am,
right?
And I love Sasha Banks.
It's got to be painful.
I love
it's got to
Bianca
be
Belair.
painful to be a Blazer fan right now.
Yeah, like I just.
I mean, this match was okay, but like we knew that Bianca and Sasha weren't going to win.
Right, and
it's a filler. It's just a
because then you got people like me who aren't high on Blazer, and now we can just dump on you right now.
Yeah,
because she's awful.
You stop that right now. She's only awful because she's getting weighed down by Nia. The pairing is just not working for me.
No,
like it hasn't worked from the moment it started.
That's why I'm hoping they drop the belt on NXT.
I'm saying, well, when you've got only maybe one legitimate tag team,
that hurts.
Yeah, that doesn't
on the main roster.
I'm sorry, I'm not buying Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke.
It just doesn't work when you're trying to do a team Hell
No
2.0, and there's no tag teams that are like actually like legitimate clicking tag teams to tell a story, because that was the whole point of Team Hell No, was two guys who don't get along all of a sudden can come together to win a match against these teams of seasoned tag team people that they're like, how are they pulling out these matches? Well, they just do it, you know, like
Sheamus
it doesn't work.
Cesaro.
Yeah, it just doesn't work when it's just pair one female wrestler with another female wrestler. They're a tag team now.
Yeah, that's one thing I think WWE...
This ain't a video game.
I'm actually, you know what, though? I'm kind of surprised that Sasha and Bianca didn't win, because I went in thinking they were, because it's like, that's the classic WWE story. Two adversaries who are destined to face each other, even though Bianca hasn't declared who she's going to face prior to that match. You know, they're destined to be a tag team together and then inevitably lose the belt, split up, and then face each other. Like, that's what they always do.
They kind of just did that with Sasha and Bayley.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking, like, they've done it with Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold back in the day. Like, they do it all the time. So, like, when I saw this, I was like, that would make perfect sense.
I think they just did it to throw a swerve.
Yeah.
And I think that was the whole point of it. It was like, okay, let's swerve everybody.
Yeah.
And not do it. But it was what it was.
Sure.
Next up.
You had the second Elimination Chamber match, this time for the WWE Championship, because Drew McIntyre was involved and was defending his belt, going up against the likes of AJ Styles, Jeff Hardy, Kofi Kingston, Randy Orton, and Sheamus, with Drew McIntyre emerging victorious to, at that point, retain his WWE Championship.
Not a bad match.
Not as good as SmackDown.
No, this was definitely the second best chamber match of the night.
Yeah, well, there was only two.
Right. So it earned the ring.
It was, yeah. I don't know. This match didn't do much for me. The Sheamus thing was whatever. AJ getting broke out of the back of the cage when the moment was
that was cool.
There. Yeah, I mean, it was whatever. Like, just because the Elimination Chamber, like, you have your entrance come in. So, like, really, what advantage of it do you get by coming in when there's still four other guys? Like, the advantage is being the last one out of your pod.
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't want to be the one who gets out of the pod to be like, all right, I'm the third man in. Instead, you could have been the last guy in. So, whatever. And then, Randy Orton, that shit was weird. I really thought Randy Orton would have lost because Bray.
See, I thought Bray might have gotten involved too, because there was the whole ritual on Monday night. But I thought, at least initially, it was like, did somebody fuck up and Randy get eliminated before he should have? Because if you go back and watch the match, Randy gets eliminated. He gets the hell out of Dodge and leaves.
Well, before RKOing everybody.
But then it's like everybody in the ring just turned on a switch and business started picking up and the action started picking up. So I'm watching this going, did somebody screw up and eliminate Randy before he was supposed to?
It makes you wonder, but I think everything they're doing with The Fiend is just kind of getting really...
Weird.
Weird is putting it mildly.
Well, just, I mean, at this point, like, have the payoff.
I'm there for it.
Yeah.
It's a good build-up for me, but it's like, what the hell are we doing here?
Like, wouldn't it have made sense? The lights go red, all of a sudden, like, the TVs start going off and, like, it's images of Bray and Randy peeks up and he's like, oh, well, what's going on here? And then, boom, he gets rolled up. Like, instead he got pinned clean and then just RKOs people and then walks out and then nothing.
Yeah, it is just weird. And then even Monday night, the follow-up with the Papa Shango throwback.
Yeah.
Everything about it.
Yeah.
But I will say the highlight for me for this match was AJ Styles.
Yeah.
Having Omos rip the door off.
Well, that's what I said.
Yeah.
To me,
that was
cool.
it.
That was cool.
But but it didn't make any sense. It
No.
literally didn't. Like, if that would have been you ripping the pod because Drew was down,
Yeah.
and was the last guy in the ring, and you're like, he just got RKO'd, he's not going to get up. Like, I need to get in this, and the pod's like minutes away from opening. Then rip the thing off because you want to get in the ring. But it was literally you're entering. Only one person had been eliminated by that point.
Yeah.
Sheamus was still in his pod. You gain no advantage.
Well, and towards the end of the match, they started telegraphing the end, at least what we thought was going to be the end, because Sheamus started beating the holy hell out of Drew McIntyre. So it's like, oh, they're working to eliminate Drew and take the belt off of him. And then who was the third one left? Was it AJ?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then AJ starts attacking Sheamus, and I'm like, okay, I see how this is going. Drew's going to retain.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, for me, that was the only highlight. Like, everything else is kind of pretty much wash,
Kofi-
rinse, repeat.
Kofi's mic work or lack of mic work when he was in the pod was fucking amazing.
His pod work?
Yeah.
Oh, I see those legs. You've been squatting? I see them
Oh my
quads.
God.
Yeah.
Can we mic up Kofi for like everything?
I'm okay with that.
That was great.
I'm perfectly
But
fine.
I mean, that's, you know what, though, in a crowdless environment,
Yeah.
I bet you those guys, need that little reprieve,
I mean,
Yeah.
we saw it at, what was it, the Royal Rumble match where Charlotte got eliminated and then was cracking up laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it just goes to show, I mean, they're making the best of the situation, but this one was just pretty much wash, rinse, repeat.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
nothing really stood out too much
Until-
except the ending.
Until
the cage got lifted. Drew's kind of laying in the ring. Bobby Lashley comes out and starts attacking him.
looks real strong.
Looks real
Yeah.
strong, beating the holy hell out of him. And the announce team's going, oh, he's doing this because he lost the United States Championship and he's mad. And I had even tweeted, I wonder if Bobby Lashley came to play. There certainly is a price to pay because I had put 2 and 2 together.
That equals 4, by the way.
Yep. Mrs.
Well played. Thanks.
Music Hit came in, cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase, attempted to hit him with something, I don't even know what that was, and then hit him with the skull crushing finale. 1, 2, 3. Miz is your new WWE Championship. In case anyone's curious, Miz Girl, real happy.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah,
Tracked her
so
down.
that somebody reached out to her, tracked her down, and she said that her opinion of him has changed very much in the last 10 years, and she said he's a great heel champion.
I mean, it's whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I wasn't exactly like, you knew that it was going to have to happen at some point. Like,
yeah. Well, and I knew that.
and what better than having Drew in the
Yeah.
Elimination Chamber match?
Yeah, I knew going into tonight that at least one of the belts was going to have to change. Because as great as it would have been to see Edge face Finn or even Pete, I didn't think it was going to happen. As great and as awesome as that would have been, I was just like, listen, this is Vince booking. Vince ain't going to do it.
Right.
So he's going to go up against Roman or Drew. I go, one of these belts, whoever they've got him penned in to face, one of these belts is going to have to change. Mm-hmm. And once Roman retained and Edge came out, I'm like, well, Drew's dropping that belt in some fashion. I don't know how, but he's going to do it.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting setup for Mania because, earlier in the night, Edge speared Roman and did the point to the sign, so that confirmed the match.
I was like, wait, did he confirm it? I couldn't tell by all the fireworks.
Yeah.
Right. And so now with Miz being champion, it kind of opens up the door for what's going to happen next. But they
Yeah.
are saying Lashley is going to get his title shot
Yep.
for doing the dirty work either on next Monday or where I'm saying is Fastlane.
Yeah, and I got to give credit to the internet wrestling community who dug up the old footage from
I was just
March of 2020 or whatever it
bring
was,
that up.
where MVP was in the ring. I think it was like right after WrestleMania, or a couple of weeks after WrestleMania, and he goes, "When you eventually lose the belt, I'm going to be the one personally responsible for it." And in the end, he was.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up because I thought that was great. I mean,
That was awesome.
I mean, not that they had that planned out March of 2020, because let's face it, booking is by the seat of their pants. But it's very cool that,
Especially these days.
yeah, it was just very cool that line was out there and somebody remembered it and could capture it and be like, hey, this was said. So it almost makes WWE look smarter than they actually are.
Yeah, so a lot of questions are going to be getting answered for the road to WrestleMania under 50 days away.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely have to stay tuned for that.
And we had said that this was the last pay-per-view on the WWE Network. We were incorrect. It is Fastlane that is the going to be simulcastly broadcasted on both because they're a little paranoid that the NBC platform might not be ready for the traffic just yet. So this is going to be simulcasted.
I'd
understand
that if it was Mania, but Fastlane? Really?
Well, they want to test it out and make sure.
they want to,
right.
because then
Mania is the test.
Well, Mania is going to be exclusively NBC.
Yeah, so if it was going to have any bugs to get worked out, this is the one to do it.
Right.
Yeah, because otherwise, you imagine if that crashed during WrestleMania.
Yeah, oh my God,
like it
dude.
has every year on the network.
Yeah.
Well, we're hoping NBC has better
Where
work.
we end up watching and we eventually have to like turn our phones off so we don't see spoilers because of the lag.
Let's put the good karma out. Put the good karma out.
I'm
My
being realistic.
Mania hasn't been bad when I've broadcast on the network, but that's just me. Yeah.
I'm not gonna, we gotta be putting that good energy out for your WrestleMania because I don't want anything flawed to happen. I want to see a good card. I want to see
You
2
don't want
days.
you don't want Sami Zayn getting hurt.
No, I don't want to see Sami.
Hey, he's
Zayn
got
getting hurt.
documentaries filming. You better not.
He does. I'm excited
That
about
was
that.
that was fucking amazing.
So we'll definitely have to wait to see what happens there. But let's talk about the Elimination Chamber, shall we? Hit us up on that hashtag ODPH or hashtag ODPH.
Oh, don't you have a big announcement that was made today?
I do, and I actually want to bring it up next segment to kick off Rounding the Bases.
Okay, so it deserves its own moment. It's pretty big.
It does. It's game-changing.
It's game-changing.
Or so some people have been telling us. So let's have that discussion first about the WWE offline, and then we'll just jump back in next segment and talk a little AEW. Stay tuned. You're listening to the ODPH podcast.
Hi, I'm Sunny Hepburn.
And I'm Brandy Fleets.
And we're from Book of Lies, the podcast, where we discuss liars, cheats, and thieves,
Scammers and dirty, rotten scoundrels.
You can tune in for new episodes every Tuesday to hear about another lowdown, dirty liar.
And learn how to spot them.
So that's Book of Lies Podcast. You can connect with us on social media, Twitter at Book of Lies Pod, Facebook and Instagram at Book of Lies Podcast. Bye!
Coming back for the final segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast. Time to talk some local minute.
Yeah, so got to talk some Binghamton Devils. They did play a couple games this past week. On Wednesday, they lost to the Hershey Bears by the final score of 2-1. And then Saturday, they played the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, where they lost by the final score of 3-0. Looking at their games they got this coming week on Wednesday, February 24th, they play the Lehigh Valley Phantoms again. Game time at 6 o'clock. Friday, February 26th, they play the Hershey Bears. Game time 7 o'clock. And then Saturday, February 27th at 4 p.m., they again play the Hershey Bears. Looking at the standings, they've taken a little bit of a slip, falling to 5th place in the North Division with a record of 2-2 with 1 shootout loss. Right in the thick of things, though, they've got 5 points total. First place is Lehigh Valley, which has only got 7 points, so they're right in the thick of things. More information, binghamtondevils.com.
Coach, what you got?
The Bulldogs are announcing roster signings right now after their 1-week training camp. They have announced 3 players.
One being yourself?
Yeah. No. So far, Jordan Pryor, Peyton Dean, and Ralph Williams are the announced signings of the Binghamton Bulldogs. So obviously more to be announced as the week goes on. So be on the lookout for that. Probably Facebook active and on their Twitter account or binghamtonbulldogs.com.
Yeah, safe bet to go there. I mean, obviously, local sports are coming back slowly but surely. They're happening going on. Well, I want to save my big announcement for last. So,
Okay.
Pat, why don't you lead off round and bases?
Yeah, don't have anything for sports other than fuck the Houston Astros, but that's obvious.
Yep.
A couple entertainment things. One, I'm very excited for. It was announced that Superman, the animated series, is going to be added to HBO Max in March.
Lovely.
Super excited for that. It came on in the airwaves Kids WB back in 1996. 3 seasons, 54 episodes, featured Tim Daly as Clark Kent. Also featured Clancy. I forgot about this one. Clancy Brown as Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
Great series. Definitely highly recommend it.
I woke up many of Saturday mornings just to be able to watch that show.
So did I. As great as
10 a.m. I believed it aired.
I believe you're right. Yeah, and don't get me wrong. Batman animated series still number one for like cartoon superhero theme songs.
Still the king.
Still the king. Superman number 2 for me. There's
Did a great job.
There's just something about it that's really awesome. During the television upfronts today, Paramount had a whole bunch of this because Paramount Plus is launching on March 4th, I believe it is. I won't go into everything, but there's a lot of exciting stuff, a lot of returns. If you're fans of some shows that are coming back, definitely check out some of the Variety and The Wrap and Deadline, for some recaps. But one that jumped out to me and I was very excited for, Avatar: The Last Airbender, the animated series, which if you have not watched, you should. It's on Netflix. It is one of the best cartoons of all time. The franchise is getting even bigger. Nickelodeon is launching Avatar Studios. I'm reading from the article on Deadline. They're launching Avatar Studios, a division designed to create original content spanning animated series and movies based on the franchise's world. The original creators and executive producers, Michael DiMartino and Brian Konietzko, will run the studio as co-chief creative officers, reporting to Ramsey Naito, president of Nickelodeon Animation. Avatar Studios will produce content for platforms including Paramount Plus and Nickelodeon, as well as third-party platforms and theatrical releases. The first project is an animated theatrical film that is set to start production later this year. So super excited for this, and it's almost poetic because the god-awful M. Night Shyamalan movie comes out. They make Legend of Korra, which is very good. Things fall through with the whole Netflix deal and the Netflix live adaptation, and then they go out and make a whole goddamn studio for the show. So I'm super excited for that. Definitely keep your eyes out for that. We'll note that we did get some pricing for Paramount Plus since it's launching in like a week or so, and we didn't really know. Spoiler alert, if you have CBS All Access, it's no different. Ad-supported version is going to be $4.99 a month, and then premium is going to be $9.99 a month. So super excited for that, and a whole bunch of stuff they announced with Paramount Plus that I'm super excited for.
Yeah, it's another streaming service going to have a tough battle to make its way, but they're loading up content.
Yeah, loading up content.
I mean, that's a good thing about it.
Yeah. Switching over to some more streaming stuff, I'm super excited for this. We got a release date for the next, continuation of the Clone Wars series. The spinoff series Bad Batch is releasing appropriately on May 4th on Disney+. So super excited for that. Definitely going to be checking that out. Sticking with Star Wars, it was announced that Star Wars Republic Commando, which was a game released in 2005 on the original Xbox and PC only, is finally getting its own release on PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch. First-person shooter game set during the prequel era films. A lot of fun, a lot of fans, one of their favorite games of all time. I've never got the chance to play it because like I said, never had an Xbox. So that is coming on April 16th, I believe, and it's only going to be $15. So I'm super excited for that. And then lastly, with the video games, sticking it to Tom from Off the Cuff Gaming, PlayStation has announced for its Play at Home initiative that it's offering select games and entertainment for free from March through June. First up in March, the 2016 Ratchet & Clank video game that's based off of the movie, or the movie's based off of it. I don't know. It's confusing. Go back and watch the whole marketing campaign.
Pass Ratchet & Clank. I don't know.
It will be free for all PlayStation 4 and 5 owners throughout March, including players who do not have a PlayStation Plus subscription. Now, the thing they note is Sony says, quote, once you redeem the game, it is yours to keep with no time limit attached. So once you download this thing, it's yours forever.
That's insane to me.
Oh yeah, it's a good deal. It's a fun game. If you're a fan of platforming, and some of that old, PlayStation 2 platforming, this is definitely the game for you. It's a lot of fun. It's got replay value, because there's New Game Plus and you can just keep going through. You'll definitely get some fun out of it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, free games, you can't go wrong with that.
No.
And I know you're a big Ratchet & Clank guy.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's on the shorter side for Ratchet & Clank games than what I'm used to, but it's still a lot of fun, and it's everything you expect.
Can't go wrong with that.
Nope.
Coach?
Yeah, in the NBA with the All-Star game coming out, I know that we had talked about, a little controversial that they're going to be doing an All-Star game. And the starters were, I believe, announced last week. So it will be Team LeBron versus Team Durant. Starters include Giannis Antetokounmpo, Bradley Beal, Steph Curry, Luka Doncic, Joel Embiid, Kyrie Irving, Nikola Jokic, and Kawhi Leonard.
Okay.
Followed by the reserves of Jaylen Brown, Anthony Davis, who was actually replaced today for Devin Booker, who should have been in the game
I was
to
going to say
begin
should have
with.
been from the jump.
Paul George, Rudy Gobert, James Harden, Zach LaVine, Damian Lillard, Donovan Mitchell, Chris Paul, Ben Simmons, Jason Tatum, Nikolai Vukovic, and Zion Williamson. And I left the best for last.
Let him know, Coach.
The Knicks, baby, have an all-star. Julius Randle is named an all-star as rightfully deserved.
Who got MVP chance last night?
Damn right he did, even though they, in a losing effort, deserves very much so, because this team is hovering around 500 because of his play.
Also, I got to say, Zion's got to stop teasing us. He has teased being in the dunk contest, which, God damn it, man, don't tease me like that.
Yeah, I mean, we had enough with LeBron flirting with the idea.
God damn him.
If Zion doesn't do it, that would be depressing. But alas, the Knicks have an all-star as well-deserved in Julius Randle. It was very, holding our breath, because a lot of, pundits and experts outside of the TNT broadcast who had Julius Randle unanimously in their reserves had left Randle off the list. So I held my breath Tuesday at the announcement. So very exciting news that he made the team.
And it's very exciting to hear fans in the stadium.
Yeah, it was nice having, obviously, and that's a great game to have fans back for. I mean, obviously, the referees kind of took away from the play on the court, which is, always upsetting. But, the Knicks had a great effort. And, I know we haven't touched much basketball because it's kind of, quiet for the most part. But, I'm very happy with this Knicks team. Tom Thibodeau is doing a fantastic job, was the right guy that deserved the job. Probably should have had it 2 years ago, but, whatever. Mike Woodson's doing great, and the guys that they brought in, as far as the assistant coaches, have been fantastic too. So the coaching staff is great, and the play on the court's not been bad. So very exciting, and they won the Porzingis trade. So
yes, who ironically is getting shopped around now.
Yeah.
Love it.
Allegedly.
Well, apparently, the rumor is Golden State's been heavy in the market for him, which would probably be a great place for him to go and would make a lot of sense to pair him with Draymond, and Steph Curry, and have a third option that team desperately needs. And a big, force in the paint. Obviously, it would take away minutes from Wiseman, but, he's a rookie, so.
I did not realize until the other day, I saw a stat because Draymond got ejected in a game the other night. I did not realize how long he has been in the league. Until I saw that stat. Draymond Green has been ejected like X number of times since he entered the league in like 2012, 2013. I'm like, is it real?
Dude, Steph Curry's going on year 13.
Jesus.
Like, it's nuts. Yeah. But anyway, I'm just glad the Knicks won that trade. And I just remember the day finding out he was traded. I was shocked, dismayed, completely just awry. It's 2 years as of yesterday, I think, that the trade happened. So it's just awesome to look back and knowing the Knicks won a trade for once.
Yes.
After being fleeced for Andre Bargnani.
We're coming back.
Fuck yeah.
Slowly but surely.
Hey, you know what? Trust the process.
Exactly. Trust the rose.
Trust the rose.
It just takes 15, 20 years.
That's fine. The Knicks have been down for so long. I'll take a slow rebuild.
Yeah.
Listen, the Porzingis trade was step one. Step two is drafting RJ Barrett. Step three will be not having to sign Julius Randle to a max deal so they can have money. But, it's not looking very promising to not do that. And hopefully moving on from Elfrid Payton and Emmanuel quickly emerging as a superstar.
Yeah.
All these things just can magically happen.
Yeah, pieces are in place. I trust Leon Rose. That's all I say. It's like whatever he's doing, keep doing it.
And now they've got, the Dallas pick, which is going to be a top 10 pick, which it wasn't supposed to be when the trade happened. Everybody was like, oh, the Knicks got 2 first-rounders? We were laughed at. Oh, 2 first. That Dallas pick's going to be like the 30th pick. Well, not anymore.
Yeah. So what now?
That's right. Look at us now.
Exactly.
Hey, look at us.
Just
look at us.
Just look at us. Yeah. All right. So for my bases, one, got to talk a little UFC action.
We do.
This past weekend, the biggest upset according to Vegas in 5 years.
Okay.
Derek Lewis.
Fuck.
National treasure.
My God.
Uh-huh.
Amazing.
Said Texas and Houston got as cold as it did because he left.
Yes.
If his balls left.
If you're not following him on social media, you need to. Just epic sound bites left and right. Was taking on one Curtis Blades in a top 5 heavyweight bout.
Yep.
Blades, I believe, was number 2. Lewis was number 4, and Lewis was a plus 350 underdog.
Yeah,
for this fight.
I mean, I went into this fight thinking that Blades' wrestling would be able to muster some sort of slowing down of Lewis, but nope.
No, Blades got knocked out in an uppercut in the second round.
Dude, that was... And so, I had Aaron and I had a nice little date night, and I was like, listen, I want to watch this main event because I knew the ramifications of what it could mean. So I was like, I want to see this. And Lewis just looked so... And, you know, I texted you guys. I was like, damn, he just looks disinterested. And I know you guys were doing the broadcast. So I was like, damn, he looked so disinterested. And I didn't want to, like, say that and mean it in any way, but you could just tell by his body language. And then the knockout happened, and I was like, redacted. Didn't mean to say that. But then, you know, his post-fight press conference, he was like, I couldn't warm up. And I was like, yes, I was right. He didn't look into it.
Yeah, he definitely didn't look normal Derek Lewis.
Yeah, like normally he is energetic. Like I was talking to my buddy at work, and I was like, he's normally way more energetic and lively and with his hands and stuff. And he was very back on his heels. You know, obviously I know the takedowns were a threat, but like even when Blades was like throwing hands, like Lewis normally would then look for opportunities to mix up, and he was backpedaling a little bit more than usual.
Yeah, Blades was, you know, obviously number 2 contender. This was a big fight for him, and he came out aggressive. I mean, but I think he got stifled a little bit by Lewis. Maybe he was expecting something else from Lewis out the gate.
Yeah.
But that's the one scary thing about Derek Lewis. He has that much power, he can knock you out at any point.
At any point.
And the thing is, people go, okay, he's going against a wrestler. He's going against a guy jiu-jitsu. Oh, he's going to be in trouble. Lewis is that one anomaly. I always refer to him as like Robert Whittaker.
Right.
Is a guy that you don't think is going to win a fight because X, Y, and Z, and he winds up pulling a W out. So this fight, no exception. Lewis,
dude, as soon as he gets his hands on you,
yeah,
if he lands any shot clean, you're feeling it.
And I want to say, I think it was Chael Sonnen who brought this point up. When he fought Francis Ngannou, and Ngannou has just been bull rushing everybody.
Right.
And swinging. It was either Sonnen or Schaub. I can't remember who. Either way. They were saying, like, Francis Ngannou, the only fight he's never ran at a guy to swing at was Derek Lewis. That's how much he respects his power.
Right.
That is enough of a cosign if you need to know what Derek Lewis is all about.
I mean, listen, the fight before he fought, you know, somebody who was the jiu-jitsu, who took him to the ground, had him on the ground, was able to dominate the first, you know, probably round and a half until Lewis stood up, you know, and caught a few good punches, and I think he landed a kick that inevitably knocked him out.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what you can do to this man. You know, like, I mean, other than getting him to the ground and then just laying on him and just landing shots, because if you can't get him to the ground, you try and stand up with him, you better keep your distance.
Absolutely. So, huge win for Derek Lewis. Got to see what happens now. Obviously, we know Miocic and Ngannou are going to be dancing a little later this year.
Yep.
And then, who knows, he might be somewhere in facing the loser of that match, because John Jones has already been guaranteed he's going to fight the winner.
And I was like, no way that Dana's going to give John a world heavyweight title fight right away. I mean, there's too many good top contenders that I just didn't think that John would get, you know, a title shot right away. No. Like, I thought he would get the winner of this fight. Was what I thought.
That's what I think he should do, and I think Derek Lewis should get on social media and call him out.
Well, I mean, he already, you know, Bisping on the commentary was like, hey, you know, John Jones' name's been thrown out there as moving up to heavyweight, you know, and what do you think about that? And he was like, you know, Derek Lewis being Derek Lewis was like, yeah, I see you, John.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, yeah. And then obviously Dana White comes out and says, no, you know, John's being fast-tracked. Like, I understand, you know, John's pedigree and everything, and, you know, he deserves to be in the upper echelon, but it's like when you have such such top contenders that are all legitimate. I mean, from, you know, Miocic to Ngannou to Lewis to Blades, you know, those were all legitimate guys that were all legitimate contenders. To then be like, you know, just let John move up. It's different than the light heavyweight where there's nobody. You know, I mean, Adesanya moving up is a gift to the UFC, because without him, there is nobody there to challenge Blachowicz. Like, at least with with at least John moving up, it's just another, body in the heavyweight division, which is crazy because the heavyweights have been depleted for so long.
Yeah, now they're restacked, and now it's really fun to watch to see how this is all going to play out. So
yeah,
I'm excited to see how they're going to do the fight making about this, because you never know. Like, Dana could change his mind, and the powers that be at the UFC could change their mind too.
Yeah, I mean, with him going to the press with it,
yeah,
I don't think there's anything Dana hates more than giving a statement and then being called out for changing his mind.
Yeah, so we just got to wait and see about that. Some other MCU news that we didn't get a chance to talk about earlier. Spider-Man No Way Home is the official title for the Spider-Man third movie.
Correct.
Yep.
Coming out. So thoughts on that, gentlemen?
Interesting title. It sticks with kind of the vibe they're going with. The first movie, Homecoming. The second one, Far From Home. No Way Home. So I dig it. I'm excited to see it. I know fans are already combing over the promotional images that have been released. So, but I'm excited.
Yeah, it's just a title.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's not like, it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it has a meaning to it, but it's like, it's just a movie title.
It is what it is. Yeah, I'm kind of just waiting to see a trailer at some point. I know we're a ways away from that, but that's when I'm really going to start paying attention.
Yeah, I mean, even just a tease. I mean, they released some images today, which has me kind of excited because there's one point with the three of them staring at a mirror.
Yeah.
Which, what does that mirror mean? Like, what is portrayed in that mirror?
There's a shadow in one of the photos, and the internet's going nuts over who the shadow is.
Yeah, I mean, does the mirror portray Tom Holland as one of the other Spider-Mans? I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? We'll just have to wait and see about that. But we at least got that confirmation, and we did get confirmation that Loki is going to be hitting Disney Plus July 11th. So you have to wait to see how that pans out. But the big news that I was talking about, the game changer in the land of professional wrestling, AEW, via their press release they sent to us, to quote, as 2021 shapes up to be the year for AEW's biggest shows yet.
No.
Today, the promotion has announced that wrestling legend Paul White has signed a long-term deal, adding yet another universally regarded name to AEW's roster of stars, legend, and upcoming talent.
That will put butts in the seats.
White will have an extensive role with AEW. On top of his return to the ring, he will serve as a commentator on AEW's newest show, AEW Dark Elevation.
Wake up. We're talking now.
Wake up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's brutal.
Yeah. So there's going to be a new AEW show on YouTube, Monday at 7 p.m. According to the press release, it will showcase AEW's established and rising stars as well as the top independent wrestlers within the industry.
Weird, they're still not willing to go at 8, huh?
Yeah. Competing against each other in the ring in pursuit of wins. That's kind of an odd way to say it, but
wins matter.
Wins matter in AEW, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, there's a guy out there. He was a free agent. He's just trying to get his licks in the business. Yeah, and they're willing to give him a shot, And they're
only thing missing from this is a belt he can drop into the garbage can.
Yeah, I mean, they're just trying to give a guy on the upswing like Paul White, who has many years in the wrestling business ahead of him, a chance. This is the company of the youth. This is the youth movement, you know?
Yeah, I mean, this is a good signing in the sense of he will help the big men of AEW.
Yeah, I saw that take.
Yeah, I mean, it's good for the behind-the-scenes stuff and the teaching and, passing on knowledge and stuff. Everything else, who fucking cares?
Well, that's the whole thing. I think he signed to fight Shaq, which I think they've already telegraphed March 3rd. Hello, who's going to be running to help Cody win? I'm sorry.
For me, and this is what I put on Twitter, like, if he wanted to be commentating, WWE already has, the people like that. That's already booked. Like there's no room. So if he wanted to do that and wanted to continue his career, I understand this move, but I don't want to see him in the ring. I don't want to see him paired with somebody because AEW does that shit too much.
Yeah.
That it's just lost its value, and I don't want to see him doing any, I just want to see him commentate. Like, if you want to commentate, I'm good with it. But I don't want to see you doing all the other stuff. I have zero interest in seeing Marco Stunt versus The Big Show.
I mean, listen, Marco's excited because he did tweet out, quote, what? This is, everything on this is in all caps. What, with about 33, I counted them, exclamation points and question marks. How could you hide this from me? I just peed myself, holy shit. And then HAHDJ HAHDJFMT, and it's a whole bunch of letters mixed together with about another 30 exclamation points.
I just don't give a shit. I don't.
No, I
care.
don't either. Like, don't get me wrong. Commentary, sure. Behind the scenes in like a producer role or like an instructor role, sure. But to me, seeing him in the wrestling ring at this point is going to be like watching Chuck Liddell fight at this point.
Oh,
it's awful to see, and I don't want to see it.
Oh, tough, Pat. Ouch.
Ouch.
That's
accurate
a take.
comparison, though.
It is. It is. That's a take, though.
It definitely is. I mean, I'm with you. I mean, he's been doing part-time wrestling for so long now that, listen, it's not a needle mover. It's not a game changer. The fact that the internet was running with it and thinking like, oh, they got one over on WWE. Look, I don't think this is in the same vein as when Chris Jericho left, because at this point, AEW wasn't established.
Right.
And so when Jericho left, it was a big deal. Now, I'm sorry, we've almost come on, 2 years of AEW now?
Like, if they got like Cena, that's a move.
Yeah.
Like, if they signed John Cena, the guy who is WWE through and through, carried the banner, did the whole thing, that would be a Hogan leaving WWE or WWF at the time, signing with WCW. That would be that kind of move. Paul White leaving, a guy who had been off of television for the last 9 months.
Yep, I'll say I just looked up on ProFightDB.com. His last match was on a Monday Night Raw against Randy Orton in an unsanctioned match on July 20th of 2020.
Yeah, I mean, it's not game changing enough. I mean, like I said, for AEW, just celebrated
was
2 years.
I right? 9 months?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. Like I say,
good job, me,
for being 2 years in the company. Like, I don't see how this is going to really be a game changer for you.
Yeah,
like, it just isn't.
No, it's not. I mean, he had a brief run. I'm looking at his profile on ProFightDB.com. He had a brief run from January, the first half of 2020. Prior to that, his last match was on a Smackdown on November 20th of 2018.
Yeah.
So, like I said, the guy's 49 years old. His best years are behind him. You're not going to get any 6.5 stars matches out of the guy.
No, you're not going to get anything worth. Listen,
and I don't care if you're in the Tokyo Dome or not.
Sting. Now this, like, it's just
WCW.
Yeah,
2.0.
I mean, you talk about being the youth movement, and then you're bringing in these guys.
We're the alternative. If you've been turned off for wrestling for a lot of years, we're the ones to bring you back. But first, we're going to bring back all the guys that are old and basically retired.
I mean, that's the problem. You say one thing and you talk another. Like that, it's one of the aggravating points of AEW that you don't have an established identity. You're trying desperately on one end to be WCW 2.0.
Yep.
And then when you have new talent, you're not doing anything with them. Like, why is
other than sticking them on a YouTube show on Monday night?
Nobody's watching.
Yeah.
So
your big draws are Sting, who is 61 years old.
Yeah.
Chris Jericho, who is 50. And then also you've just brought in Paul White, who, as we mentioned, just turned 49 this month.
Yeah.
Sorry, no.
Yeah, it's nothing really to move a needle, but we'll have to wait to see what happens. But like I say, for how some internet fans are acting about it, pump your brakes.
Yeah, good for him for extending his career, though.
Yeah, good for him. I'm not mad they signed him, but this is not the game changer that some are trying to make this out to be.
No.
Look, if they really want to compete, go get CM Punk.
Yeah.
That's the only free agent that you guys can go get. Meanwhile, you flip the coin. WWE signs Taya Valkyrie.
Yep. Parker Bordeaux, yeah. Eli Drake, Steiner's kid.
Yeah, I mean, they're signing talent that can go on TV right now that can really contribute. I mean, nothing against the Big Show. He has an amazing career, 22 years with WWE.
Body of work.
But at this stage in the game, it's not enough to really get that wow factor other than you got a quick headline. And where you go from here, I'm already telling you, he's going to run in on that match with Cody and Shaq.
Yep.
In that tag match. He's going to be the game changer because that's the match the internet apparently wants to see. And then maybe at the pay-per-view, they have their one-on-one match finally. Who knows? Who cares? Like, that's kind of the reaction I got about it.
Yep.
So, AEW Dynamite tonight should be pretty interesting to watch. So, definitely I'll be doing some live tweeting about that. So that all being said, we gave you an extended version of the ODPH podcast, so I'm just going to sum it up like this. You want to find out everything that's going on with the great music you hear on the show. You want to go check out the directory, which has friends of the show, organizational links supporting Black Lives Matter, our TeePublic store, our friends that are in amazing pod groups that, listen, if you're not on Podchaser and you claim you're in a pod group, you just ain't in a pod group. So shout out to Pod Nation, shout out to Legion Independent Podcasts, shout out to the Alternate Reality Radio Podlift team, shout out to the aPODalypse, and of course shout out to #667 Podcast. and 8122 Productions for everything they're doing. All that, so much more, you can find at OchoDuroParlayHour.com. Because that's all I got for this week. So for your coach, my coach, the coach, Coach Duffy.
Good night, and it was Agatha the whole time.
For the one only Padawan J.
Thank you.
I'm your host, Ken M. Thank you as always for listening to the ODPH podcast. We'll see you next time.
The darkness has crept up.